Chapter 1361. The Black Demon Abyss was a place where the aura of darkness was strong, chaotic, and all kinds of negative aura could easily affect the mind. It was also home to the terrifying black demon beasts and the black demon race. It was a forbidden area. But now the peace of this forbidden area was broken because of a dark blue divine pearl. The black demon race had sensed the arrival of the human race and had moved out in an attempt to capture the human race. For a time, the black demon abyss was filled with the sound of wind and cranes, and danger was everywhere. Under the tremendous pressure of life and death, Chumu finally stepped out of the last step of the 5 realms of swordsmanship, successfully transcending the first 4 realms and comprehending the 5th realm of sword will. And the power of the 5th realm of sword will did not disappoint Chumu, and could even be said to be a pleasant surprise. Under the sword will, even if his 6 senses were deprived, he could still perceive everything around him. Although he could only cover a radius of tens of meters, it was enough. Any movement of the enemy was completely within his grasp. As soon as there was an intention to attack, Chumu knew the trajectory of the opponent's attack. As soon as there was an intention to dodge, Chumu could also be the first to know the trajectory of the evasion. Although it was only a moment in advance, for an expert a moment was enough to decide a lot of things. The originally extremely unfavorable situation was reversed because of the sword will. The robe on his body was tattered, but his injured body was quickly healed. The repeated nirvanic reincarnations had made the vitality contained in Chumu's flesh and blood more powerful, and his self-healing effect had significantly increased. Coupled with the help of the origin of the wood form in his heart, Chumu's injuries were completely healed in a short time. On the other hand, Tsuyoshi was not so lucky. Her injuries were more serious than Chumu's. The robe on her body was a treasure, but it was already damaged. The damaged parts revealed her sparkling and translucent skin. Some parts were purple and some were dripping with blood. Tsuyoshi quickly took out a pill and took it, then crushed some and sprinkled it on her wounds to speed up the healing of her injuries. However, with the help of pills, the speed of recovery was still relatively slow. The black demon abyss was also very dangerous. If the injuries were not completely healed, the display of one's strength would be affected. Chumu pointed a finger at Tsuyoshi from a distance, and a wisp of green brilliance shot out from his fingertip. Tsuyoshi sensed it and was slightly startled, but did not dodge. When the green light entered her body, Tsuyoshi couldn't help but let out a slight groan. It was a very comfortable feeling. A wisp of coolness quickly flowed through her body and gathered at each of her injuries. Her injuries were recovering quickly. Green light constantly shot out from Chumu's fingertips, forming a chain and entering Tsuyoshi's body, helping Tsuyoshi to quickly heal her injuries. After a period of time, Tsuyoshi's injuries were completely healed. If it weren't for the tattered robe on her body, she wouldn't have looked like she was injured at all. "I want to change my clothes." Tsuyoshi's voice was cold. The treasured robe on her body was damaged and could no longer play a defensive role. Moreover, it was broken and ugly. For a woman, it was unacceptable, so it had to be changed. Chumu turned around, and Tsuyoshi's body shook. The broken treasured robe disappeared and was replaced by a purple gauze robe, exquisite and beautiful. More than a dozen high-level black demon race members all had space rings. Chumu wanted to share them with Tsuyoshi, but Tsuyoshi refused. Chumu took them himself, further expanding his wealth. Continuing to move forward, Tsuyoshi looked at Chumu's back, her heart complicated. Chumu had become even stronger. Once again, he had left her even further behind. The black demon abyss was vast, and there were many black demon beasts residing there. The black demon race was the most powerful race. This time there were many humans who entered, and fierce battles broke out everywhere. The battles between humans and black demon race members. The battles between humans and black demon race members. At this time in the darkness, there was a figure emitting a faint white light, floating about 3 inches above the ground. Although the white light was weak, it was very tenacious and was not affected by the darkness at all. Instead, it forced the darkness back more than 3 feet. In the faint white light, a figure could be seen. He was dressed in a white robe, which was different from the robe of the human race. It looked more complex and exquisite, with long silver-white hair and a fair and handsome face, enough to make most women scream. In the light aura, there was a trace of emptiness and holiness, like the pure sky, which could not tolerate the slightest stain. It was incompatible with the aura of the black demon abyss. Evil life, in front of my eyes, you have nowhere to hide. Purify all of you. The eyes of the unbelievably handsome man flashed with white light. He stretched out a finger and gently tapped the dark void. Suddenly, a white light shot out, penetrating hundreds of meters of darkness and hitting the black demon race members. The black demon race members burst into white flames, burning fiercely, and turned into ashes amidst screams. There's a saying, no matter what, this young master has finally met you. The young man with a pale complexion stared straight at Tsuyoeshi's beautiful face with a pair of lustful eyes, almost drooling. Looking at you up close, you are indeed more beautiful. This is the first time I have seen such a beautiful and seductive beauty. Tsuyoeshi's face was cold, a trace of anger gathering in her eyes. The gray-robed elder next to the young master stared at Chumu with eyes full of killing intent, as if to freeze Chumu. Young master, you step back first. I will capture these 2, the gray-robed elder said. Kill the man, leave the woman, the young master said excitedly, retreating a distance. Tsuyoeshi, leave the old one to me, Chumu said indifferently. The gray-robed elder was a saint-level expert. If they were outside the black demon pool, Chumu would certainly run as far away as possible. The current him did not have the slightest ability to fight against a saint-level expert. But this was the black demon pool, where any power beyond the nirvana realm would be suppressed. No matter what level of saint-level expert the gray-robed elder was, he was now at most equivalent to the 9th layer of the nirvana realm. As long as it was a nirvana realm expert, Chumu was not afraid, and even if he was not, he could still fight. And Tsuyoeshi's attack was enough to kill the lecherous young master, a mere 5th layer of the nirvana realm. You think you are invincible just because you have a little talent. Let me take you today. The gray-robed elder smiled coldly and immediately attacked. He stretched out his hand and turned it into a palm, grabbing forward. A huge, fiery, red palm viciously grabbed at Chumu. A blazing aura rippled. The huge, fiery red palm was full of terrifying power, and under this blow, there was a suffocating feeling. From this move, one could see the strength of the gray-robed elder, which was comparable to the 9th layer of the nirvana realm. If it were any other nirvana realm expert, they would most likely die. Chumu's eyes flashed, and a silver light suddenly appeared. On the heaven-beheading sword, there was a silver light flowing, and the 8th level of sword power emitted an astonishing sharpness. That's right, it was the 8th level of sword power. After the breakthrough in the sword realm, Chumu comprehended and cultivated, gained experience of the 5-spirit sword saint, and comprehended the eternal sword momentum. The 7th level of sword power finally broke through again, reaching the 8th level. The 8th level of sword power increased the power of the sword by 9 times, which was a very terrifying increase. Even many high-level sword saints may not be able to master this level of sword power. With the sword realm in his heart, coupled with the preliminary understanding of the sword will, the huge fiery red palm was very clear in Chumu's eyes. It turned into dots and connected together to form the palm. The heaven-beheading sword stabbed out, and in a breath, hundreds of swords with terrifying silver light pierced out of the darkness. Hundreds of silver sword light were extremely sharp, and at the same time stabbed at the various nodes of the fiery red palm. Chumu rushed out, and the aftermath of the fiery red palm seemed to be filled with smoke. His sword cut through the darkness and slashed towards the gray-robed elder. When the gray-robed elder was about to capture Tsuyoshi alive, the huge fiery red palm was shattered, and a cold sword light came towards him, which shocked him. His expression changed slightly, and he unsheathed his sword, which drew a fiery red arc and slashed out with raging fire. The sword of raging fire cut through the air, and the silver cold sword light went over the sword of raging fire and stabbed towards the gray-robed elder. In terms of swordsmanship, even though the gray-robed elder was a saint-level expert, there was a huge gap between him and Chumu. Realizing this, the gray-robed elder immediately pulled away from Chumu and used a technique to attack Chumu. Flames circled around his body to protect him. Soon after, under the guidance of a single hand, fire snakes condensed and danced in the air, shooting towards Chumu from all directions. With the imperishable sword in his left hand, he swung both swords, and each sword shattered the fire snakes. As his figure moved, he rapidly approached the gray-robed elder. Chumu felt a thrill in his heart. This feeling made him very comfortable, and that was killing the gray-robed elder, a saint-level expert. Although the strength of this saint-level expert was suppressed due to the uniqueness of the black demon abyss, and could only exert the strength of the ninth heaven of nirvana level. But in any case, his true realm was still at the saint level. Killing a saint-level expert would have a great effect on Chumu's essence, chi, and spirit, and would be of great help to his future progress. Tsuyoshi also made her move. Her target was the lecherous young master. Although the young master's cultivation base was at the seventh heaven of nirvana level, and his talent was not bad, but he was addicted to women and was not outstanding in battle. He simply could not be compared to Tsuyoshi. The gray-robed elder had to take care of both the battle with Chumu and the rescue of his young master. Carefree, unrestrained, and free to do as he pleased, Chumu's sword appeared and disappeared unpredictably. Strong, domineering, strange, swift and fierce, light, ethereal. Different sword styles were all performed under Chumu's sword and slowly merged. When the sword was slashed out, there was a domineering force that could shatter everything, but also a sharp edge that could cut through all things. When the sword was thrusted out, there was a sharpness that could penetrate any hard object, but also an unfathomable strangeness. The state of the sword in the heart, the experience of the sword techniques of the five spirits, sword saint, the comprehension of the constant sword momentum, and the initial dabbling in the sword will, at this moment, in the battle with the expert, were all controlled by the sword will to a high degree. In terms of absolute power, the gray-robed elder was far superior to Chumu, but that was all. In other aspects, there was no comparison at all. The powerful and tyrannical technique attacks all missed and were all dodged by Chumu. In the state where his essence, chi, and spirit were beyond the limit, Chumu was unprecedentedly powerful. Kill, kill, kill. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to kill the gray-robed elder, kill the saint-level expert. The two swords intersected and changed. One sword was strange and swift. The other was strong and domineering, yet light. The cross slashed down. Chapter 1362. Tsuyoshi's power erupted, evading the gray-robed elder and releasing the sky demon force field. Her sword turned into a bolt of black lightning, as though it had merged with the black demon abyss, and slashed toward the lascivious young master. The lascivious young master's face changed dramatically, and he hurriedly retreated, but was unable to dodge and was struck by the sword. He did not die, because there was a faint purple light shield on his body that blocked Tsuyoshi's sword. Haha, I have a secret treasure that my father gave me. You can't kill me. The lascivious young master finally reacted, laughing loudly, and was very pleased with himself. Tsuyoshi did not say a word, and once again launched an attack with her sword. In terms of cultivation, she was not as good as the lascivious young master, but in terms of strength, she was many times stronger than him. If not for the protection of the secret treasure, she would have killed him with one strike. The gray-robed elder saw that Tsuyoshi was unable to do anything to the young master, and immediately felt relieved. He was determined to get rid of Chumu as soon as possible with the power of thunder. Although he constantly attacked, he still could not kill Chumu, and could not even hurt Chumu. Although the gray-robed elder was a saint expert, he was just a relatively ordinary member of the saint realm. Even so, the gray-robed elder still had a tyrannical strength that was far superior to Chumu's, and was an excellent opponent for him to practice his sword on. With killing the gray-robed elder as his goal, Chumu's swordsmanship was sublimating. He had only just begun to comprehend the sword intent, and in fact, could not be said to have mastered it. The situation when he killed more than a dozen high-level black demon race experts was just that, under tremendous pressure, he had just comprehended it, and it was difficult for him to reach that level after calming down. That level of sword intent should have been cultivated to the level of Desheng, and now he was just at the beginning. This battle had deepened Chumu's grasp of sword intent. The gray-robed old man was extremely depressed. The moment he attacked, the other party had already dodged in time, causing his attack to miss. When the other party's sword came at him and he dodged, the next attack was waiting for him to hit the trajectory of his dodging. The strange opponent made the gray-robed elder feel a chill in his heart. "Stop!" The gray-robed old man retreated as he shouted. He didn't wish to continue fighting. Such an opponent caused him to feel a chill in his heart. This old man is an elder of my Violet Thunder Palace, and he is the young lord of the Violet Thunder Palace. If you continue fighting, it would only be disadvantageous for you. The Purple Thunder Palace was a massive faction in the Firmament territory. There were many sacred rank experts in the palace. However, the gray-robed elder wanted to stop the battle and even threaten them like this. How could Chumu let them go? In reality, even if they stopped the battle now, the gray-robed elder and the lascivious young master wouldn't let them go after they left. Since that was the case, he had to get rid of them completely. As soon as the gray-robed old man finished speaking, Chumu arrived with his two swords. The two swords each had the characteristics of berserk, unyielding, domineering, light, strange, sharp, and so on. Everything was integrated into the swords, making them unpredictable and indescribable. The gray-robed elder's face was filled with horror. The two swords were the best of Chumu's swordsmanship and Desheng's work. The sword light seemed slow, but it was fast. In an instant it arrived. The gray-robed elder hastily dodged, but Chumu already knew his dodging trajectory. The two swords that were slashing towards him were already in front of him at some point. This time, the gray-robed elder was unlucky. It was as if he had run into the swords himself. The terrifying sword radiance, under the amplification of the 8 times sword force, broke the defense of the gray-robed elder. The ferocious earthquake force, the terrifying power under the profound vibration, the power of the two swords had reached the extreme. Although the gray-robed old man was wearing a treasured robe, it was still only a saint-grade robe. It shattered, and the terrifying energy invaded his body. If his strength hadn't been suppressed, he would have been able to block it. But now that his strength was suppressed, he was heavily injured by the two swords. Not giving his opponent any chance, Chumu's figure moved at an extremely fast speed. He circled the gray-robed elder and launched an unparalleled attack. He attacked with an indomitable will. With a poochie sound, a head flew high into the air. The gray-robed elder's eyes were filled with shock. He was a Saint Realm expert. Even if his strength was suppressed to the 9th level of the Nirvana realm, his courage and battle experience were all at the Saint Realm. However, he died at the hands of a sword cultivator who was merely at the 5th level of the Nirvana realm. With the death of the gray-robed elder, only the lascivious young master was left. His defense was also broken by Tsuyoeshi's sword. The next sword was a fatal blow. The sword slashed out. Abruptly, a terrifying aura gushed out from the horny young master's body, akin to an erupting volcano. Crackling sounds rang out as countless bolts of purple lightning covered his entire body. A silhouette then condensed on his body. I am Yang Tianlei, the palace master of the Purple Thunder Palace. No matter who you are, please do me a favor and don't hurt my son. The figure condensed from purple thunderbolts let out a bell-like sound. His body also released a terrifying aura. If someone from the Firmament Territory or knew about the Purple Thunder Palace, they would most likely do him a favor. After all, the Purple Thunder Palace was one of the few most powerful forces under the Firmament Holy Land. It was not easy to provoke them. Even the people of the Firmament Holy Land would not easily provoke them. When Chu Mu and Su Yueshi asked Du Qian about the Black Demon Abyss, Du Qian also mentioned the major forces of the Firmament Territory, and the Purple Thunder Palace was one of them. Provoking the Purple Thunder Palace would end badly. Su Yueshi was a little hesitant. She looked at Chu Mu. Unknowingly, Chu Mu became the leader of the two. Su Yueshi would consider Chu Mu's thoughts and his feelings. Kill. Chu Mu only said one word. He was very resolute and decisive. So what if it was the Purple Thunder Palace? Even if it was the people of the Firmament Holy Land, Chu Mu would still kill them. Even if he did not kill them, the other party would never let them go. Su Yueshi's sword trembled and once again turned into a black thunderbolt. She slashed out. Chu Mu's two swords crossed and collided, bursting out a terrifying sound wave. The cross-sword light cut in all directions. You still dare to attack. Under the image of the Purple Thunder Palace Master, thunderbolts surged wildly and turned into two terrifying thunderbolts, bombarding Chu Mu and Su Yueshi. Su Yueshi's sword was hit and she was sent flying. Thunderbolts covered her body. Although Chu Mu's sword light was shattered, his body was not affected. He attacked again. From this point, it could be seen that he was much stronger than Su Yueshi. The image of the Purple Thunder Palace Master was, after all, a protective measure. No matter how strong it was, it could not exceed the suppression of the Black Demon Abyss. It was a huge threat to Su Yueshi, but to Chu Mu, it was not much different from the gray-robed elder. Fight, fight, fight! The battle with the gray-robed elder had made Chu Mu's swordsmanship sublimate and his strength further increased. It was now easier to deal with. The protective measure left by the Purple Thunder Palace Master on the lecherous young master was, after all, limited in energy and could not last long. In the confrontation with Chu Mu, it accelerated the consumption of power. You deserve to die. The Purple Thunder Palace will hunt you down. At the last moment before the image of the Purple Thunder Palace Master dissipated, he let out an angry roar. A tiny thunderbolt shot toward Chu Mu and entered Chu Mu's body. It did not cause any harm, but Chu Mu had a feeling that something was wrong. It was more like a mark. Don't kill me. The lecherous young master panicked. I won't kill you. Chu Mu put away his sword, smiled slightly, and checked the thunderbolt power that entered his body. I will thank you. The lecherous young master trembled, but a haze flashed across his eyes. I will kill you. The cold voice seemed to freeze the lecherous young master's blood. Su Yueshi's sword turned into a black light and pierced through. The reason why Chu Mu did not kill him was not because he was soft-hearted, but because he left it to Su Yueshi. The gray-robed elder's space ring belonged to Chu Mu, and the lecherous young master's space ring belonged to Su Yueshi. In this battle, Chu Mu had consumed a lot of power and needed to recover. Su Yueshi had also consumed a lot of power and needed to recover. You recover first, Chu Mu said, taking out some pills to help recover his power. In addition to taking pills, Su Yueshi sat cross-legged and operated her cultivation technique. The yuan qi of heaven and earth in the Black Demon Abyss was very thin, and it was very difficult for human cultivators to recover once their power was consumed. They must prepare enough pills, but pills were not omnipotent. Su Yueshi was of the heavenly demon lineage, and her cultivation technique was related to darkness. She could absorb part of the dark power of the black demon abyss to accelerate the recovery of her power. Under the effects of the pills and the dark power of the black demon abyss, Tsuyoeshi's power quickly recovered, but she had to be careful not to be eroded by the chaotic will. After a period of time, Tsuyoeshi's power recovered, and it was her turn to protect Chumu. Because of the pills, Chumu's power had recovered a little. At this time, he sat cross-legged and operated the Divine Wilderness sword manual. Speaking of which, this was one of the strengths of the Divine Wilderness sword manual. As Chumu's cultivation of the Divine Desolate sword art deepened, as his realm deepened, and as he improved, the Divine Desolate sword art's secrets became more and more unearthed. Right now, it was one of those secrets. It could absorb most of the aura energy and refine it into Divine Desolate sword energy. The dark power could not escape the absorption range of the Divine Wilderness sword manual. Therefore, Chumu's speed of recovery was faster than Tsuyoeshi's. Coupled with his tyrannical sword intent and tenacious will, the chaotic impact of the dark aura could not affect him. While Chumu closed his eyes and operated the Divine Wilderness sword manual to recover his power, Tsuyoeshi looked around, and her gaze seemed to inadvertently fall on Chumu's face. Looking and looking, she seemed to be fascinated, but also seemed to be distracted. As soon as Chumu opened his eyes, he saw a pair of beautiful eyes staring at him. When their gazes met, it was as if he had been caught. A look of panic flashed across her beautiful eyes, and she quickly looked away. "I've also recovered." Chumu got up with a smile on his lips. Tsuyoeshi nodded, slightly lowering her head, and did not look at Chumu. "Why don't we check the harvest?" Chumu said. The harvest referred to the spatial rings obtained from killing more than a dozen high-level black demons, the gray-robed elder, and the perverted young master of the purple Thunder Palace. Chapter 1363. In the depths of the black demon abyss, there was a terrifying aura surging. It was darker and more astonishing than the aura of the black demon abyss. 8 kings listened to my order. Capture all the invaders, and execute them on the spot if you can't. The astonishing voice was loud and clear in the darkness. It was incomparably domineering, as though a high and mighty emperor was giving orders. "Yes, your majesty." In the darkness, there was a different domineering voice. "CG, I heard that many of your high-ranking clansmen were killed," the rough voice said with a hint of mockery. "You are not much better." The voice was astonishingly charming, as though it was whispering in one's ear. It was as though it could trigger lightning and fire. "Hee, why don't we have a competition to see who can capture more foreign races? If you lose, don't play any tricks and let me have a good time." The rough voice laughed strangely. "Do you have the guts?" The charming voice laughed again and again. "If you dare to lie down, I dare to do it." The rough voice snorted coldly. "Well, now is not the time to quarrel." A flat voice sounded, containing an inexplicable, chilling power. The 8 kings of the black demon race had moved out. Chumu and Tsuyoeshi inspected their respective spoils of war. Tsuyoeshi had only obtained the space ring of the young master of the purple Thunder Palace. Although there was only one, the space ring of the lecherous young master really contained a lot of good things, including some life-saving secret treasures, some good pills, and a large number of yuan pills. Chumu had obtained more than a dozen space rings, one of which was the space ring of a saint-level expert. These things gave Chumu a huge harvest. In the space ring of the gray-robed elder, there were millions of high-grade yuan pills, tens of millions of middle-grade yuan pills, and many pills, ores, and so on. There were also some cultivation techniques and secret manuals, which were relatively common and practical things. There were many things inside the spatial rings of the high-level black devils. It was obvious that the high-level black devils had killed the outsiders and taken their wealth. However, it was now Chumu's. There were elixirs, swords, and other items. There were also some special items, such as some black stones that emitted strong waves of dark aura, which seemed to be a specialty of the Black Demon Abyss. They were a type of black demon stone that was suitable for the black demon race to absorb and restore their strength. In the spatial rings of a dozen high-ranking black devil species, Chumu also found a peculiar item. It was a fiery red ring. The ring was embedded with a few grain-sized fiery red gems. Between the gems, there were veined patterns connecting them, making them look very intricate and complicated. Traces of the power of fire were emitted from it, and the air around the ring seemed to become scorching hot. Chumu carefully examined it a few times, and his divine sense penetrated into it. From his perspective as a sword craftsman, the structure of this thing was very complicated and not simple at all. He estimated that it was a kind of secret treasure related to the power of fire, but he was not sure what kind of secret treasure it was. Putting it away for the time being, Chumu also found a few pieces of crystals that were emitting an astonishing evil chi, which made him delighted. He directly absorbed them into his body and into his middle dantian, where they were rapidly absorbed by the indestructible sword. The indestructible sword had not absorbed such a strong and pure negative aura for a long time. Although the negative aura of the Black Demon Abyss was everywhere, it was not enough for the indestructible sword at this level and could not be improved. The strength of the indestructible sword could not be compared to the heaven-beheading sword in all aspects. But now that there were a few pieces of crystals with such strong evil chi, Chumu believed that after absorbing them, the indestructible sword would be improved to a whole new level. Su Yueshi stood to one side. She did not understand what Chumu was doing, but did not ask. Instead, she stood and paid attention to all the movements around her, acting as a protector. Chumu's previous body was strong enough to withstand the impact of the two evil chi crystals. The indestructible sword continued to absorb the evil chi, absorbing nutrients and growing on its own. After a period of time, all the evil chi crystals were completely absorbed by Chumu. The indestructible sword vibrated for the second time, and a strong aura rippled, exuding from Chumu's body. It contained an everlasting and indestructible aura, which made Su Yueshi's face change slightly and her heart trembled. "I'm done, let's go." Chumu opened his eyes, glanced at Su Yueshi and said softly. Very quickly, the evil chi crystals were all absorbed. The reward was that the indestructible sword had been upgraded to the level of the heaven-beheading sword. Heaven-beheading indestructible sword. Finally, the indestructible sword had also been upgraded to the level of the heaven-beheading sword, and the power it displayed was even more powerful, which indirectly increased Chumu's strength. With the 8 kings of the Black Demon clan on the move, the humans from the outside world were in an even more dangerous situation. The humans had already figured out the structure of the Black Demon clan. The Black Demon beasts could be said to be the vassals of the Black Demon clan, and they were the mounts and battle pets of the Black Demon clan. The Black Demon clan was divided into the low-level Black Demon clan, the middle-level Black Demon clan, and the high-level Black Demon clan. Within each level of the Black Demon clan, there were low, middle, and high-level Black Demon clan, especially the high-level Black Demon clan, which corresponded to the human cultivators, had a total of 9 levels. Perhaps this was the division that the humans had given to the Black Demon clan. Just like the human cultivators, there were relatively more black demons from the 1st to the 7th level, and there were very few 8th level black demons. In the Black Demon clan, they were called Black Demon Generals. As for the 9th grade Black Devil clan, there were even fewer of them. Every high-level 9th grade Black Devil clan possessed incomparably terrifying strength. They could easily defeat a 9th-level Nirvana stage expert of the human clan and were known as Black Devil Commanders. As for the most outstanding 8 of them, they were crowned with the title of King, Black Devil King. At present, there were 8 kings in the Black Demon clan, and above the 8 Black Demon kings, the strongest person who ruled the entire Black Demon race was the Black Demon Emperor. He was the emperor of the Black Demon clan, and any Black Demon clan member must also obey his orders. The human cultivators were not clear about how powerful the Black Demon Emperor was. They only knew that any cultivator who entered the Black Demon Abyss, regardless of their talent or strength, would not be able to fight against a Black Demon King, let alone the Black Demon Emperor, who was above the Black Demon Kings. In fact, from what the human race knew, the Black Demon Emperor had never made a move. Chu Mu and Su Yueshi did not know that the 8 Black Demon Kings were on the move. But Chu Mu smelled a crisis, or rather, he felt the arrival of a crisis. This was the result of him advancing to the state of having a sword in his heart. His spirit, chi and spirit had increased, and his thinking and consciousness had improved. After comprehending the sword intent, he had achieved a sublimation under the high degree of unification of sword intent, and his awareness of crisis had increased a lot. Su Yueshi, next, we may encounter a huge crisis. Be careful. Chu Mu did not know why, but he said, yes. Su Yueshi nodded gently. Ahead there was a faint white light, which slightly surprised Chu Mu and Su Yueshi. Amidst the dark aura of the Black Demon Abyss, the faint white light was very conspicuous. They also felt that the aura contained in the faint white light was a little holy and ethereal, which easily reminded them of the clean and clear sky. The faint white light was moving rapidly toward them. It was a living creature. A feeling of being spied on made Su Yueshi frown. Chu Mu used the power of his divine sense to shake off the other party's undisguised spying. His first impression of the other party was directly reduced. Approaching within the faint white light, the figure was clearly seen by Chu Mu and Su Yueshi. The unusually handsome appearance was clearly different from that of the human race, which startled them. The other party did not speak, and just brushed past Chu Mu and Su Yueshi. His aloof posture, cold eyes, and a glance, as if he was looking at a lower life form, had a trace of contempt. No one liked to be looked down upon like that. But this person gave Chu Mu and Su Yueshi a very dangerous feeling, even though there was not the slightest dangerous aura. Since the other party did not make a move, Chu Mu would not make a move either. Su Yueshi hesitated for a moment, suppressing the idea of making a move. If she encountered such a situation in the past, she would definitely pull out her sword and slash, but now she would consider more. Weak. Human race. The unusually handsome person, under the faint but tenacious white light, left such a sentence. Such an attitude, however, made Chu Mu reveal a strange smile. Arrogant. Divine race. Chu Mu said faintly. The man's eyes emitted a bright light, as if piercing through the darkness, as if to shatter Chu Mu's mind and enter Chu Mu's eyes. Chu Mu's eyes also emitted an astonishing sharpness, and when they collided, it was as if there were invisible arcs of electricity sputtering out. Live well. The unusually handsome person of the divine race left these words and then left. He definitely did not say this out of concern, but as a warning, a threat. Live well. Leave this place, and then come looking for trouble. Would Chu Mu be afraid? No. He was even a little excited, because ever since he learned about the divine race in the Sky-Bearing Academy, he had the idea of meeting them. What was so special about this race that was named after heaven? Sure enough, as recorded, the people of the divine race were very arrogant, and their aloof gaze and attitude looked down on other races. Chu Mu did not care about pride and arrogance. For him, it was just a superficial thing. What he really cared about was strength. Without strength, arrogance would only invite ridicule. After meeting the people of the divine race, Chu Mu and Su Yueshi quickly put this matter to the back of their minds. They went deeper into the Black Demon Abyss, relying on luck to find the deep blue divine pearl. But until now, other than knowing that the deep blue divine pearl was in the Black Demon Abyss, there was no other news. But the Black Demon Abyss was a dangerous place, a very dangerous forbidden area. Even if they could not find the deep blue divine pearl, they could still train here. Training between life and death was the best way to improve. For example, in the few battles now, Chu Mu had improved a lot, and Tsuyoshi had also gained a lot. The sense of crisis was getting clearer and stronger. Chu-mu felt that, perhaps soon, he and Tsuyoshi would encounter a great crisis. This not only did not make him retreat, but instead made him feel excited, and his blood showed signs of boiling. Chapter 1364. When he was still an ordinary person, Chu-mu had an extraordinary intuition. After becoming a swordsman, along with the improvement of his cultivation, his will, and other aspects, especially after he cultivated to the 5th level of swordsmanship, his intuition was further enhanced. Since then, he had never made a mistake. Chu-mu also believed in his intuition. Sure enough, Chu-mu's intuition was accurate again. He and Tsuyoshi were trapped in a tight encirclement. They were still surrounded by the Black Demon Clansmen, but this time the Black Demon Clansmen were many times more powerful than the last time. The terrible dark aura was like a surging tide, rushing over, making Chu-mu and Tsuyoshi feel that they could be destroyed at any time. Tsuyoshi's pretty face was dignified. "Wait a minute, listen to me. Run when I say run." Chu-mu tried to calm his mind as much as possible and transmitted a message to Tsuyoshi. Tsuyoshi nodded. This time, it was really different from the last time. Although there were only a dozen Black Demon Clansmen surrounding them. Every one of them was a high-level Black Demon Clansman. The leader of the Black Demon Clansmen was even more terrifying. The black horn was suffused with black light. The face that did not look ugly was covered with strange black lines, and the black pupils were a little strange. He was wearing a complete black armor that protected every part of his body below the head. The weapon in his hand was a strange long weapon, with a spear tip and a double axe blade that could stab and slash. The high-level Black Demon Clansman was sitting on a high-level black demon beast that had huge fangs and looked like a lion. It was at least at level 8. As for the aura that the high-level Black Demon Clansman emitted, Chu-mu knew that he was a level 9 high-level Black Demon Clansman, which was the commander of the Black Demon Clan. A commander of the Black Demon Clansmen had brought Chu-mu great pressure and a strong sense of crisis. The commander of the Black Demon Clansmen's aura locked onto Chu-mu, making Chu-mu's muscles go numb and his blood freeze. This feeling was very uncomfortable. The pressure that the commander of the Black Demon Clansmen brought to Chu-mu was several times greater than that of the gray-robed elder. This kind of pressure was very great, and it made Chu-mu excited from the bottom of his heart. A strong enemy, an absolutely strong enemy. Only by fighting with such a strong enemy would he be able to better hone himself and develop his potential. The only thing worth worrying about was Tsuyoshi. She had the talent and was a monstrous genius. However, she had yet to fully mature. It was unrealistic for her to face a black demon commander and a dozen high-level black demons. Tsuyoshi had her own pride, but she would not be reckless. If there was a chance to escape, she would not refuse. However, with more than 10 high-level black demons surrounding him, it wasn't easy to escape. He needed to open a gap and find a chance to escape. "Human, you had better return with us obediently. Otherwise, you will die a horrible death." The commander of the black demons could see the disparity in strength between the two sides, so he was not worried at all. Instead, he spoke in a mocking tone. It could be seen that the intelligence of the commander of the black demons was comparable to that of a human. "Sure." Chu-mu suddenly smiled and agreed. His straightforwardness made the commander of the black demons slightly stunned. In the next moment, a sharp sword light shone in front of him, tearing through the sky and slashing towards him. The sharpness and coldness of the sword light made the commander of the black demons shiver. He did not dare to underestimate it. Cunning human. The commander of the black demons felt that he had been deceived. He was furious. He waved the long weapon in his hand, and a sharp, piercing sound came whistling through the air. It was fast and ferocious, as if this stab could pierce through the sky. As soon as the commander of the black demons made his move, Chu-mu was shocked. It was too strong. This attack was much stronger than that of the gray-robed old man from before. The entry-level sword intent let Chumu know that he could not take this attack head-on. The sword light changed direction as if it was jumping through space. It dodged the commander of the black demon's stab and stabbed towards one of his eyes. Run! At the same time, Chumu transmitted a voice to Tsuyoshi. Tsuyoshi also took advantage of the momentum lock that had been broken in an instant. She had long been ready to slash out. The pitch-black sword light drew an arc in front, spanning dozens of meters, as if it was cutting through the sky. It produced a tyrannical explosive force that blocked the high-ranking black demons that were rushing over. As soon as the sword came out, Tsuyoshi made a prompt decision. Under the eruption of power, her body turned into a black rainbow light, as if blending into the dark aura of the black demon abyss, and rapidly retreated. She was proud, but she wasn't blind. She knew that she would only be a burden to Chumu if she was here. Even if she was unwilling in her heart, she wouldn't lose her reason and do the wrong thing. However, in her heart, she swore to herself that she would increase her strength as fast as possible. Otherwise, if she were to encounter such danger again, she would only become a burden again. After the dozen or so high-ranking black demons were slightly hindered, they immediately chased after her, leaving only Chumu and the black demon commander to fight. The black demon commander brought Chumu a lot of pressure. Chumu had to deal with him wholeheartedly. Now, he simply had no time to take care of Tsuyoshi and could only rely on her own ability and fortune. The sword light pierced through the air, incomparably swift and fierce, like lightning and thunder. The black demon commander's spear, axe, and slash were exerted to the extreme. Coupled with his terrifying strength, every strike was able to shatter a mountain. It was impossible to resist. Under the collision, the terrifying impact of the force was mostly dissipated by Chumu, but the remaining force still made Chumu's palms numb. The gap between the absolute strength of the two sides was too great. Chumu used all his strength to fight, but the Black Devil Commander didn't seem to be using all his strength. However, he was extremely astonished in his heart. A human whose aura was only equivalent to a 5th stage high-class Black Devil could actually fight him to this extent. He was definitely a peerless genius of the human race, and it was more meaningful to capture him alive. With a thought, the Black Demon Commander's moves immediately changed. Spear shadows crisscrossed, black light filled the air, and a creepy whining sound was heard. Every move was aimed at capturing Chumu. The sword intent allowed Chumu to predict the opponent's attack trajectory in advance, and could also predict the opponent's dodging trajectory. In the previous few battles, it was always successful. This time, the sword intent still played a big role. However, Chumu felt a sense of helplessness. The Black Demon Commander's absolute strength surpassed his by too much. His attack speed was also increased to an astonishing level under the support of tyrannical strength. So what if he could predict the opponent's attack trajectory? It was difficult to dodge because the opponent's attack speed was too fast and ferocious. It was very difficult to dodge. So what if he could predict the opponent's dodging trajectory? Even if the opponent could not dodge, he could still use the weapon in his hand to block the attack, and he would not be injured at all. This was the so-called one strong person can defeat 10 skilled people. Under the absolute huge gap in strength, the power of exquisite techniques was limited. It only allowed Chumu to fight with the opponent now. After releasing the sword domain, the Black Demon Commander's strength and speed were weakened, while Chumu's strength and speed were increased. Under this situation, Chumu recovered from the disadvantage, but the Black Demon Commander's strength was too tyrannical. Even if it was weakened, it was still not something that Chumu could resist. The Black Demon Beast under him cooperated with the Black Demon Commander, putting Chumu in danger several times. The enemy was too strong. Unless his cultivation reached the 7th Nirvana layer, he he would not be able to kill the Black Demon Commander. Thinking of this, Chu-Mu could see that the situation was very unfavorable for him. Although it was good to have a strong opponent, the time and place were not right. If he continued to fight, once reinforcements arrived, it would be even more disadvantageous for him. On the sky beheading sword, there were traces of silver light jumping. A terrifying aura spread out as the sword slashed out. High-grade secret art, void nirvana sword, insignificant skill. The Black Demon Commander used a strange voice to say the words that he had learned from the human race. He swung his spear and axe with both hands. Light filled the air as whistling sounds rang out. It was as if ghosts were crying and wolves were howling. The dark aura was drawn over and poured into the spear and axe. The aura grew stronger and stronger. When the spear was swung out, it was as if it wanted to shatter the sky. It directly shattered the void nirvana sword light. A terrifying energy swept out. Chu-Mu slashed out with the 5 elements revolving sword again. After slashing at the Black Demon Commander, he retreated. The 5-colored sword light of the 5 elements revolving sword was also shattered by the Black Demon Commander's spear and axe. However, it managed to block the Black Demon Commander for a while, giving Chu-Mu time to quickly retreat. "Chase!" the Black Demon Commander roared. He patted the Black Demon beast he was sitting on and ran wildly, chasing after Chu-Mu. He wanted to capture this human alive. Under the absolute difference in strength, he had been tricked by this human time and time again. Now he even wanted to escape. How could he tolerate this? Chu-Mu went all out and exploded to the extreme. He turned into a silver sword light and tore through the sky, rushing in the direction that Su Yueshi had left. After a while, Chu-Mu saw Su Yueshi fighting with 10 high-level black demons. On the ground, there were 3 corpses of high-level black demons. Obviously, they were killed by Su Yueshi. Chu-Mu was slightly stunned. Of the 13 high-ranking black devils chasing Su Yueshi, 1 was at the 8th stage, 2 were at the 7th stage, 4 were at the 6th stage, and the remaining 6 were at the 5th stage. Of the 3 that were killed, 1 was at the 6th stage and 2 were at the 5th stage. Su Yueshi was a monster. With the cultivation of the level 6, killing ordinary level 7 was as easy as chopping vegetables. However, the level 7 of the Black Demon Clan was not something ordinary level 7 could compare with. However, in a one-on-one situation, Su Yueshi could also kill them. However, she was facing 1 level 8, 2 level 7, and many level 6 and level 5 black demons. Under such circumstances, she could still kill 3 people and was fighting fiercely with the others. For a moment, there was a stalemate. This made Chu-Mu very surprised. Soon, he found that there was something wrong with Su Yueshi. There was a faint black flame in her eyes. It seemed that she had used some kind of secret technique. Her power erupted again and her speed increased. Her 2 swords spread out like wings and swept across. At an extreme speed, she rushed past a level 7 black demon. With a flash of sword light, she killed and rushed into the battlefield. In front of him, a sharp black sword light slashed. Chu-Mu was shocked and quickly dodged. The other high-level black demons also attacked. Su Yueshi seemed to have lost her consciousness. She was only fighting instinctively. Anyone who approached her was an enemy. With such a delay, the Black Demon Commander also caught up. "Su Yueshi." Chu-Mu transmitted his voice. His voice was like wind and thunder, exploding in Su Yueshi's spiritual world and awakening her consciousness. Su Yueshi's figure paused. Chu-Mu extended his hand, wanting to grab Su Yueshi. Unexpectedly, the Black Devil Commander arrived. A black light flashed like lightning. Chu-Mu could only push Su Yueshi away. His 2 swords crossed, and he released Sword Domain to take the Black Devil Commander's attack head-on. With a pung, he was sent flying several thousand meters away. Su Yueshi, who just woke up, felt her body go soft. She could not escape. A black light wrapped around her and she was captured. Chapter 1365. This Woman's Body. The Dark Devil Commander transformed his power into a rope and grabbed hold of Tsuyoshi. His eyes lit up. You guys, take this woman back and watch over her carefully. When I get back, I'll present her to our great emperor. Yes, Commander. The 9 high-ranking black demons solemnly replied. They escorted the dying Tsuyoshi back to the black demon race. Meanwhile, the black demon commander patted his black demon beast and chased after Chumu. Chumu was sent flying thousands of meters away. He felt an intense pain in his arms, as if his bones were shattered. His internal organs were shaken, and he couldn't help but spit out blood. The commander's attack was extremely powerful. Chumu had no choice but to take it head-on. If he didn't, Tsuyoshi would be the one to die. After landing, Chumu spat out a mouthful of blood. He endured the pain in his body and ran wildly. At the same time, he looked back. He couldn't see clearly because it was too far away. However, he could feel a dangerous aura approaching. The commander was chasing after him. The life force in his flesh and the wood origin in his heart were constantly providing vigorous life force, speeding up the recovery of Chumu's injuries. Under the flow of life force, Chumu's internal organs were quickly recovering. His arms and bones were also cool. If it was anyone else, they would most likely be dead after such an attack. The high 7th rank black devil beast's speed was astonishingly fast. It constantly neared Chumu. The black devil commander waved the spear and axe in its hands, releasing rays of black light that slashed towards Chumu. Chumu had no choice but to dodge, and his speed imperceptibly decreased again. Human, surrender obediently. You can't escape. The commander roared as he chased. Human, your talent is not bad. As long as you surrender, I won't kill you. On the contrary, you will be put in an important position. While chasing, he used words to weaken Chumu's fighting spirit. This was what the commander learned from the human race. However, it was useless against Chumu. The distance between the commander and Chumu had shortened from thousands of meters to hundreds of meters. After being healed by the power of life, most of his injuries were healed. After a short while, Chumu would be completely healed. As the distance closed, Chumu knew that there was no way to escape. Could it be that he could only fight to the death? His mind raced, but he was helpless. A few hundred meters was too close, and he would close the gap in an instant. Suddenly, Chumu stopped in his tracks. It's not impossible for me to surrender. Turning around to face the black demon commander, Chumu said in a clear voice, However, you must have enough power to make me admire you wholeheartedly. Then tell me, what do I have to do to make you admire me? The black demon commander stopped about 100 meters away from Chumu. I still have my strongest move that I haven't used yet. If you can take it, I'll be impressed, Chumu said. You humans are the most cunning. If I take your strongest move and you don't admire me, what should I do? The black devil commander rolled his eyes and said, Although the black devil commander's intelligence was comparable to a human's, his thoughts were far more complicated. This strongest move will exhaust all my strength. At that time, if you take it, I won't have any strength to resist. Whether I admire you or not, I'll still be captured by you, said Chumu. According to the words of the human race, this is called the battle of a cornered beast? Ha ha ha, I'll give you this chance. I'll let you know that even a peerless genius of the human race is nothing in front of me. The black devil commander laughed wildly. The black devil beast beneath him also roared. All right, then let me see just how strong the black devil commander is. I'm going to use my strongest move. This move will take some time. You won't take advantage of this chance to sneak attack me, right? Said Chumu. My black devil race has always been open and above board. We're not as despicable as you humans, said the black devil commander angrily. I believe you, said Chumu seriously. This was not the first time he had come into contact with the Black Devil race, but it was the longest and most in-depth encounter. As the rumors said, the Black Devil race had a simple mind and limited intelligence. Even if the Black Devil Commander's intelligence was comparable to a normal human's, he did not have as many twists and turns as a human's. He did not know if this was the case for all of them. Since he could not escape, he could only make one last attempt. Chu Mu did not completely believe in the Black Devil Commander, but he could only take a gamble. He believed that even if he could not kill the Black Devil Commander, he would definitely not let him have a good time. As long as he could injure him, he would have a chance of escaping. Divine Wilderness Origin Convergence. He chanted in his heart as he activated the secret technique. Ever since he started cultivating, this was the first time Chu Mu used this secret technique in a life and death situation. Divine Wilderness Origin Convergence was a secret technique that came with the Divine Wilderness Sword Art. It could be said to be a divine-level secret technique. As for how strong it was, Chu Mu was looking forward to it. As the secret technique was activated, the Divine Wilderness Sword Essence in Chu Mu's body began to rapidly revolve in a peculiar route. As the sword essence flowed, it flowed toward Chu Mu's legs, pouring into the soles of his feet. Stepping on the ground, he stood tall and majestic. In an instant, there was a feeling that he had merged with the earth. The Black Devil Commander was slightly surprised. The human in front of him seemed to have merged with the earth beneath his feet. Could it be that he is using a powerful secret technique? The Black Devil Commander guessed, but did not make a move. He had absolute confidence in his own strength. Even if the other party used a powerful secret technique, there was a limit to how much he could improve. It was impossible for the other party to be his match. Chu Mu seemed to have become the center of the earth, standing tall on the ground of the Black Demon Abyss. An astonishing suction force erupted from his feet, madly absorbing. The wind and clouds surged, and the aura of the Black Demon Abyss became very chaotic. As it surged, it caused light to become chaotic, and vision was greatly affected. Circles of ripples, with Chu Mu's feet as the center, contracted from the outside to the inside. The range of the ripples grew wider and wider, and layers of ripples also appeared on the ground under the Black Devil Commander, converging toward Chu Mu, absorbing the power of the earth. The Black Devil Commander was surprised again. The ripples spread out to a distance of 1,000 meters and continued to spread out. 2,000 meters, 3,000 meters, 4,000 meters, 5,000 meters. As the ripples spread out, they continued to surge toward Chu Mu. The power of the earth continued to surge into Chu Mu's body, and the aura of Chu Mu's body continued to rise. The Black Devil Commander's eyes shone with a greedy light. The ground of the Black Demon Abyss was contaminated by the aura of darkness and carried the power of darkness. The power of darkness was harmful to many humans. When Chu Mu absorbed the power of the earth, he would also absorb the power of darkness contained in the earth, but he did not suffer any damage. This indicated that either Chu Mu himself was special, or that the secret technique was special. The Black Devil Commander thought that if he obtained the secret technique and learned it, he might be comparable to the Black Devil King when he displayed it. The Black Demon race revered power more than the human race. If there was a way to increase their power, they would definitely not let it go. The ripples only stopped spreading after covering an area of 10,000 meters. They continued to absorb the power of the earth, pouring into Chu Mu's body, and were constantly absorbed by Chu Mu, thereby increasing his Divine Wilderness Sword Essence. The Divine Wilderness Sword Essence continued to strengthen, and the aura became increasingly tyrannical, rising steadily. Late 5th Heaven Nirvana Layer. Peak. Early 6th Heaven Nirvana Layer. Middle. Late. Peak. Within 10,000 meters, there were countless ripples, constantly surging, gathering at Chu Mu's feet, straight into his body, and being constantly absorbed by him. Middle, 7th Heaven Nirvana Layer. That was his final cultivation. Chu Mu's true cultivation was at the middle fifth heaven nirvana layer. He had to go through 2 nirvana layers before he could reach the 7th heaven nirvana layer. But now, because he had used the divine wilderness origin returning technique, he did not go through nirvana layers, but his cultivation had risen to the middle 7th heaven nirvana layer, although it was only temporary. An incomparably tyrannical power surged endlessly in his body, causing Chu Mu to be intoxicated. He had used a total of 15 breaths of time to use the divine wilderness origin returning technique. 15 breaths of time was actually very short, but to experts it was very long. Life and death had been determined many times. But to use 15 breaths of time to increase his cultivation by 2 large realms, it was very worthwhile. Fortunately, the Black Devil Commander did not interfere. In terms of power, Chu Mu had increased by 100 times. You have kept your promise. Since that is the case, I have decided not to hold back. Chu Mu stared at the Black Devil Commander. His eyes seemed to be burning with golden and silver flames. Come! The Black Devil Commander roared, brandishing his spear and axe, causing a hurricane to roar. The heaven-beheading sword and the invincible sword were infused with powerful divine wilderness sword chi. Chu Mu's power completely erupted, and with a boom, the ground beneath his feet shattered. He charged toward the Black Devil Commander. He was best at close combat. Ever since he had comprehended the sword in the heart realm and consolidated it, as well as comprehending the sword of will, Chu Mu had a faint feeling that the various sword techniques and supreme techniques that he had cultivated before seemed to be somewhat incompatible with him and were not suitable for him. He knew that this was because the level of those sword techniques and supreme techniques could not keep up with the sword in the heart realm. Creating his own sword techniques had to be put on the agenda, but unfortunately his accumulation was not enough, and it was not the right time to do so in the Black Demon Abyss. But time and time again, the life and death battles had allowed Chu Mu to comprehend something, and his grasp of sword techniques had deepened. In an instant, Chu Mu appeared in front of the Black Devil Commander, releasing his sword domain. The sword in his left hand drew a semicircle, and the sword in his right hand, like a bow full of arrows, instantly stabbed out. The speed of this sword was extremely fast and indescribable. The Black Devil Commander's pupils rapidly contracted, and he struck out with his spear and axe, but that speed was not as fast as Chu Mu's sword. The sword in his left hand trembled, and a tyrannical force forcibly broke apart the spear and axe. The heaven-beheading sword continued to stab out, and the Black Devil Commander barely managed to dodge, but his ear was pierced. Chu Mu's right hand paused, turned, and slashed. The Black Devil Commander hurriedly lowered his head, but his scalp was also sliced off. Damn human, how dare you deceive me? The Black Devil Commander was enraged, completely enraged. He never thought that, after using a secret technique to raise his cultivation to the 7th grade level, the strength of a human would reach such a terrifying level. It was enough to truly threaten his life, and caused his sense of superiority in strength to be shattered all of a sudden. Chapter 1366. The huge dark altar, the 8 Black Devil Kings, and countless dark auras surrounded it. The terrifying aura brought great shock to Chu Mu. Hei Lai was also stunned. This was the first time he saw the dark altar open. Chu Mu and Hei Lai's arrival did not disturb the 8 Black Devil Kings. Hei Lai, how can we interrupt it? Chu Mu asked. As long as we attack the Black Devil Kings and distract them, we can interrupt it, Hei Lai replied. Attack with all your might. Chu Mu ordered, not allowing Hei Lai to refuse. Chu Mu was also accumulating his strength and constantly increasing it. The sky-beheading sword was vibrating and humming, and a terrifying sword force was flowing. This sword would definitely be the most powerful sword Chu Mu had ever used. The 8 Black Devil Kings also felt the strong aura fluctuation. Their faces changed greatly, but they could not be distracted now. They were furious. Don't be anxious. The indifferent voice sounded again. Your little companion has not fully awakened the sacred body of darkness. Now is not the best time to attack. Wait until her sacred body of darkness is fully awakened. Towards the owner of the voice, Chu-Mu had a lot of trust. The accumulated energy slowly dissipated and the fluctuations calmed down. "Hey Lai, don't attack first," Chu-Mu said. Hey Lai was very surprised and puzzled, but he still obeyed Chu-Mu's order. The slave seal technique was so domineering. As time passed, it would make the controlled more obedient. Although they did not know why this human did not attack, the 8 Black Devil Kings did not dare to let down their guard. They kept the dark altar open while paying attention. When the woman's sacred body of darkness was fully awakened, the Black Devil Emperor would control her and turn her into the Black Devil Race's Saintess, further strengthening the Black Devil Race's strength. He could even use her identity as a human to return to the human race and secretly form a force to serve the Black Devil Race. The dark aura was getting stronger and stronger, and the fluctuation of the dark power was also getting stronger and stronger. It was like a storm. Chu-Mu had been staring at the figure on the dark altar. It was completely wrapped in black light. The black light was the pure power of darkness. It seemed to have formed a giant cocoon, waiting to break out. When that time came, it would be the time for the holy body of darkness to truly awaken. In fact, Chu-Mu didn't know much about the sacred body of darkness. He just wanted to save Su Yueshi, that was all. The 8 Black Devil Kings were constantly channeling power to maintain the dark altar in an open state, and the Black Demon Emperor, whose whereabouts were unknown, was responsible for presiding over the dark altar while preparing to control Su Yueshi, who was about to awaken. He had no time to care about Chu-Mu. This was a very important matter that could not be carelessly handled. As for Chu-Mu, he was but a mere 5th-layer Nirvana realm martial artist, an ant. The Black Demon Emperor was waiting, the 8 Black Demon Kings were waiting, and so was Chu-Mu. The moment Su Yueshi broke out of her cocoon would be the time to strike. Even though he had some confidence, Chu-Mu was still on high alert and treated the situation with 120% of his attention. The Black Demon Emperor and the 8 Black Demon Kings, no matter which one it was, were tyrannical existences that he could not fight against. On the dark altar, the giant black cocoon was beating like a heart. Strong fluctuations of dark power were constantly emerging from the giant black cocoon. Bursts of black light filled the air, as if a black dragon was roaring. Suddenly, a cracking sound was heard. Cracks appeared on the giant black cocoon and quickly spread out, covering the entire giant black cocoon. With a boom, the giant cocoon exploded. Countless black fragments shot out, but before they could shoot out of the dark altar, they turned into rays of dark light and merged into the 8 pillars of the dark altar. "Do it!" An indifferent voice suddenly sounded. Chu-Mu felt a powerful force, as if coming from nothingness, emerge out of thin air and fill his body in an instant. This power was much stronger than the power that he possessed. It came so suddenly that he couldn't control it at all. A terrifying aura exploded and rushed in all directions, turning his surroundings into a vacuum zone. With the heaven-beheading sword and the imperishable sword in his hand, he raised it. Sword Chi burst out like a pair of wings, pouncing into the sky. With a flash of flowing light, he had already rushed toward Su Yueshi. The 8 Black Demon Kings also attacked in an instant. Charm Demon King CG waved her hands, and 2 black ribbons shot toward Chu-Mu at a strange angle. The halberd in the War Demon King's hand slashed down, and the black light seemed to shatter the earth. Each Demon King released their own powerful attack. Once hit, Chu-Mu would likely be turned into ashes in an instant. His body was like a sword turning into a ray of light, extremely fast. He shook off all the attacks of the 8 Demon Kings and appeared on the dark altar beside Su Yueshi. A wisp of black smoke emitted from Su Yueshi's body and condensed into a phantom. It emitted a majestic and shocking pressure. The pressure was much stronger than any Black Devil King. It came straight at Chu Mu, making him feel as if he was a small boat in a stormy sea. The powerful force was endless, allowing Chu Mu to resist the pressure of the Black Phantom and slashed out with his 2 swords. "Ignorant human, how dare you attack me? You don't know what's good for you." The Black Phantom let out an astonishing roar, as if it was angry. It stretched out a finger of black light, and the black smoke condensed into a ray of black light that shot toward Chu Mu, containing a taste of destroying everything. "Use the sword in your hand to shatter everything." A faint voice sounded from the bottom of his heart. At this moment, Chu Mu's heart was fearless. Everything in front of him was like smoke that would dissipate under his sword. There was no way to describe the feeling at this moment. He only felt that he was invincible. The 8 Black Demon Kings' attacks missed and immediately stopped. This was because the Black Demon Emperor had attacked. Even if it was just a clone of the Black Demon Emperor, it was enough to deal with this strange and weak human. The 2 swords crossed and slashed out across. The cross sword light shone brightly. Gold and silver intertwined, and its sharpness was extreme. There was nothing it could not destroy. Whether it was a physical body or a phantom, it would be torn apart, destroyed, and turned into nothingness under this sword. The black light shot out by the Black Demon Emperor's clone was bombarded and shattered by the cross sword light. The cross sword light brazenly shot toward the Black Demon Emperor's clone. The Black Demon Emperor's clone was greatly alarmed. He hurriedly condensed 2 arms and waved them. Rays of black light spread out like countless tentacles and ropes, attempting to entangle the cross sword light. However, they were crushed by the terrifying power of the cross sword light. The Black Demon Emperor's doppelganger attacked repeatedly and only managed to shatter the cross-shaped sword light when it neared. The 8 Black Demon Kings could also tell that something was amiss. They could not understand how a puny human of the 5th sky of Nirvana realm cultivation could erupt with such terrifying strength. Without much time to think, they attacked one after another. Among the 8 Black Demon Kings, the most powerful was the Heaven Demon King. The other 7 were the Earth Demon King, the War Demon King, the Mad Demon King, the Ghost Demon King, the Glamorous Demon King, the Fierce Demon King, and the Power Demon King. The Heaven Demon King was the leader. The other 7 Demon Kings each had their own specialties, but their overall strength was about the same. The Glamorous Demon King and the Fierce Demon King were proficient in long-range combat. The Heaven Demon King was proficient in long-range combat. The Earth Demon King was proficient in assassination. The Ghost Demon King was proficient in interference and support. The War Demon King, the Mad Demon King, and the Power Demon King were proficient in close combat. Each of the 8 Black Demon Kings possessed the power to kill a 1-star saint in the outside world. When the 8 of them joined forces, even a 4-star saint would be easily killed. However, the current Chu Mu possessed inconceivable strength. The 2 swords vibrated and ripples spread out. They swept past the bodies of the 8 Black Demon Kings in an instant, causing their bodies to suddenly come to a halt and become sluggish for a moment. This was enough. The power of the laws of space and time were poured into the 2 swords. They once again attacked the Black Demon Emperor's clone. The mysteries of space and time were demonstrated and interpreted by these 2 swords. The surrounding space was affected. The swords seemed to be very slow, but in fact they were extremely fast. In the end, the Black Demon Emperor was only a clone and not his original body. The difference in strength was like heaven and earth. Under Chu Mu's 2 swords, all means of resistance were rendered useless. Amidst the slashing sound, the cross sword light, which contained the power of the laws of time and space, under the high control of Chu Mu's sword will, gathered all power and slashed at the Black Demon Emperor's clone. The Black Demon Emperor's clone immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. It was cleaved apart by Chu Mu's cross sword light, When it tried to reassemble, it was strangled by the sword will, sword force, and other powers contained in the crossed sword light. It shattered, turning into black smoke and dissipating. "Kill him!" the Black Demon Emperor bellowed before the clone dissipated. The 8 Black Demon Kings paused for a moment. After the Black Demon Emperor's clone shattered, they burst forth with even stronger power and charged forward. Chu Mu's 2 swords clashed and burst forth with astonishing sword blade sound waves. Carrying a terrifying power that could easily kill an expert of He Lai's strength, he charged toward the 3 rapidly approaching Black Demon Kings. "Shatter!" The Power Demon King raised the black iron pillar in his hand and fiercely smashed it. The Mad Demon King's fists collided and erupted with an astonishing rumble. The War Demon King raised his halberd, gathering black light and slashing it down. The sound wave sword blade was shattered, but Chu Mu's figure approached the 3. His 2 swords slashed and sent 2 Black Demon Kings flying. Then the 2 swords combined again and slashed down. The War Demon King raised his halberd to block. Under the explosion of tremendous power, the War Demon King's body fell like a meteor. With a swing of his 2 swords, the black ribbon shot by the glamorous Demon King was diverted and shot toward the Earth Demon King, who was performing the assassination. Then he spun around and slashed out with his sword light, which intertwined with gold and silver, like a crescent moon, and charged toward the Ghost Demon King, who was attacking. Taking advantage of the momentum, the 2 swords rushed toward the Heaven Demon King, who was leading the charge in the sky. Fighting 1 against 8, Chu Mu clearly grasped the entire situation. The movements of any of the enemies were completely within his grasp. This feeling of being in control of everything made Chu Mu intoxicated. If it wasn't for the voice in his mind that reminded Chu Mu that this state couldn't be maintained for long, he would have definitely continued to fight with the 8 Black Demon Kings. Although this wasn't his true strength, the experience gained from the battle was still his. Sighing in regret, Chu Mu's 2 swords shook the surroundings and forced the 8 Black Demon Kings back. Then he grabbed Tsuyueshi's slender waist and quickly left. At the same time, he forcefully ordered He Lai to block the passage leading out of the dark altar and self-destruct. Chapter 1367. With a loud roar, the earth shook and terrifying energy exploded in all directions. The 8 Black Demon Kings who were about to chase after Chu Mu had a sudden change of expression. All the power in their bodies surged out, forming a tough layer of protection outside their bodies, and they rapidly retreated, distancing themselves from the source of the explosion. The 8 Black Demon Kings' faces were incomparably ugly. The power of the explosion was very strong, and even they did not dare to underestimate it. Once they were affected, they were likely to be injured. What made them even angrier was that the explosion was caused by Commander He Lai's self-destruction. No matter what the human had done to Commander He Lai, the fact that he had chosen to self-destruct in order to stop them was an act of betrayal to his own race. This was the first time in history that they had ever been humiliated as such. This was an immense humiliation. If He Lai had not died, they would have used the cruelest punishment to deal with him. With such a delay, Chu Mu had already rushed out of the passage with Tsuyueshi and quickly headed out of the Black Demon Race territory. Even though he was carrying a person, Chu Mu's speed was not affected at all. He was extremely fast, like a bolt of lightning flitting past. The Black Devil clansmen did not know what had happened. They only felt the ground under their feet shake. Soon after, a light figure appeared in front of them. It flew past them at an astonishing speed like a bolt of lightning, disappearing in a flash. Without the slightest obstruction, Chu Mu quickly approached the secret exit of the Black Demon Race territory. The exit was the same, and naturally there were powerful warriors of the Black Demon Race guarding it. There were a total of 4 7th-grade high-level Black Demon Race people. No matter who wanted to enter or leave, they had to go through them. Chu Mu was a human and naturally could not go in and out at will. But for 7th grade high-level, black demon race, people were nothing in his eyes before, let alone now. With one sword strike, he instantly killed 4 7th grade high-level, black demon race people, and opened the exit. The moment he rushed out, Chumu swung his sword a few times to destroy the exit. If the black demon race did not have other exits, they would probably be trapped here for a period of time, and would have to open another exit. Kill, 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 kill everyone who entered the black demon pool and take back the saint body of darkness. The black demon emperor was thoroughly enraged. A terrifying aura surged wildly from the darkness altar like a volcanic eruption. The sacred body of darkness that he had obtained was awakened by him, just as he was about to take control of it for his own use. It was destroyed, and his painstaking efforts were taken away. One had to know that it was not easy to awaken the sacred body of darkness. Not only did he need to do it himself, but he also needed the full cooperation of the 8 demon kings and a large amount of resources. If he could successfully awaken and control it, everything would be worth it. This was because the awakened sacred body of darkness would slowly become stronger. After returning to the human world, he could quickly rise, establish a force, and expand. He could obtain abundant resources for the black demon race, making the black demon race even more powerful. Therefore, no matter what, the sacred body of darkness had to be taken back. And that damned human, he was sentenced to death as well. The black demon emperor was infuriated, and so were the 8 demon kings. The entire black demon race was in a state of chaos. All members were mobilized and left the territory to hunt down the intruders and search for Chumu and Tsuyueshi. However, when they discovered that the exit had been destroyed, they became even more furious. They had no choice but to activate the backup exit, which would delay them further. As soon as Chumu left the territory of the black demon race, the endless power in his body rapidly faded. It fell back to its original level and continued to decline. A deep sense of exhaustion emerged from the depths of his body, causing him to stagger and almost fall to the ground. Tsuyueshi was originally weightless in Chumu's hands, but now she was affecting him. It was just that Tsuyueshi had yet to awaken, and he had just left the territory of the black demon race. He did not know if the black demon race would immediately chase after him, so he could not stay here. He forcibly raised his spirit, forcing himself to erupt with all his strength, and rushed out of the canyon. The deep sense of exhaustion continued to surge, affecting Chumu's state. His head was dizzy, and he was about to lie down. His body swayed, and his footsteps staggered. Supported by a strong will, his figure gradually became blurry, and his speed was constantly declining. From sprinting to scurrying, to walking, and finally to being able to take a step forward with great difficulty. Finally, after rushing out of the canyon and walking for another quarter of an hour, Chumu could not hold on any longer. His foot seemed to have missed a step, and he fell forward. Tsuyueshi was in Chumu's arms, and as soon as Chumu fell, he pressed Tsuyueshi under his body. From the moment they left the black demon altar until now, Tsuyueshi's body had been wrapped in a layer of black light. Now, the black light was receding little by little, revealing a beautiful body. Her skin was whiter than snow and exuded a lustrous luster. It seemed that even the dark aura of the black demon abyss could not conceal it. Bursts of strange fragrance diffused from Tsuyueshi's body. Tsuyueshi's eyelids fluttered as she opened her eyes. A look of confusion flashed in her eyes before it turned into sharpness. A terrifying energy surged, and in an instant it was about to explode and destroy everything in the surroundings. Seemingly aware of something, the power that was about to erupt quieted down. Tsuyueshi's cheeks flushed red, which quickly spread to her ears, and her eyes were filled with shyness. This was because she could feel that she was being pressed down by Chumu. Most importantly, she was completely naked. As Chumu breathed, wave after wave of hot air blew on her neck. A dark red color spread out, and her entire body trembled uncontrollably. Chu-mu! Suppressing her shyness, Tsuyoshi called out softly, but Chu-mu was too tired to hear her at all. Gently turning Chu-mu over, Tsuyoshi got up, quickly took out clothes from the space ring and put them on. With clothes covering her body, she was not so nervous, but her cheeks were still red. For the first time, this was the first time she was naked in front of a man of the opposite sex. Her mood was very complicated, and she could not describe what kind of feeling it was. After a while, she calmed down and immediately squatted down to check Chu-mu. She found that Chu-mu had fainted because he had overused his power, and he would wake up after a proper rest. Even so, Tsuyoshi was still a little anxious. She tried to recall everything that had happened before. She and Chu-mu had encountered the powerful Black Demon Clan, and Chu-mu had stayed behind to hold back the most powerful Black Demon Commander, while she was chased by more than 10 high-level Black Demons. At the critical moment, she had used her secret technique, and after a fierce battle, she had lost control of her secret technique, and her strength had increased. She could not remember what happened after that. Trying to recall, it seemed that the moment she woke up, she saw Chu-mu blocking a blow for her, and then she seemed to have been caught. In her intermittent consciousness, she vaguely heard something about the dark, sacred body, the dark altar and awakening. Although she was not clear about the whole process, with Tsuyoshi's wisdom, she quickly sorted out a relatively clear process, which was that she had been caught by the Black Demon Clan, and Chu-mu had risked his life to break into the Black Demon Clan to save her. There were many experts in the Black Demon Clan, and with Chu-mu's strength he had broken into the Black Demon Clan. But he had still managed to save her, and he had fallen into a situation where he was exhausted and exhausted. Speaking of which, the price was not high, but Tsuyoshi did not know when, but tears had streamed down her face. This was the first time she had cried because of the opposite sex. It was not because she was sad, but it was a feeling that could not be described. It was the feeling of being cared for, and cared for. It was a kind of happiness. Tsuyoshi, who had been apprenticed to a master since she was young, could only feel the feeling of being cared for by her master when she was young. As she grew up, as her cultivation base increased, and as her strength increased, the feeling of being cared for gradually faded away. She knew that it was not that her master did not care about her, but that he was more reserved, and it was harder to feel. As for the concern of others, it could not be considered as concern, but just wanting to pursue her. Tsuyoshi was proud, and did not care about many people, but now her heart was occupied by a figure. She just stared at Chu-mu, unable to take her eyes off him, and was a little dazed. In her mind, one scene after another constantly flashed as she recalled. From the very beginning, she knew the name Chu-mu in the Azure Sky virtual world, to the third stage of the Azure Sky list battle, and then the battle with Chu-mu in the Supreme Seat Challenge competition. At that time, Tsuyoshi only had hostility towards Chu-mu. She came to the deep blue world, was hunted down, and after narrowly escaping death, she walked alone in the deep blue world until she met Chu-mu when she was being hunted. After all, it was a strange world, and she had no sense of belonging. Under the pursuit, she met Chu-mu. At that time, her feelings were very complicated. Later, inside the giant sword airship, she spent 3 months with Chu-mu and inevitably had skin contact. Although it was through clothes, it was the first time. From the beginning, they did not say a word, but gradually they had things to talk about. They communicated with each other, consulted each other, and slowly became familiar with each other. Later, they arrived at the Skygate City together and flew for a while on the giant sword airship and came to the Black Demon Abyss. They fought side by side, killed their way into the Black Demon Abyss, and encountered a strong enemy of the Black Demon race and had a life and death battle. It turned out that, unknowingly, she and Chu-mu had experienced some things together. In a short period of time, she did not know when, but Chu-mu had left a trace of shadow in her heart. Some people, even if they had been together for 100 years, only left a back view as a memory after turning around, and let the passage of time become blurred and eventually disappear in the dust. Some people only brushed past each other in the vast world and inadvertently looked at each other, but they left an indelible impression in their hearts. The next time they met, they would discover that they had silently formed a brand. Chumu was like that. Unknowingly, without Su Yueshi herself noticing, he had left an impression in her heart. At that time, the impression was very faint, and if they were separated for a long time, it would fade away. But now, Su Yueshi knew that she would never forget this person for the rest of her life. She didn't know who would be willing to barge into a strong enemy's lair and risk their lives to save her when they clearly knew that there was a huge difference in their strength. Perhaps none of those geniuses who had once madly pursued her would be able to do so, nor would they dare to do so. Thinking about it, Su Yueshi smiled. Her smile was so pure, so happy. Chapter 1368. In the Black Demon Aura. Su Yueshi carried Chumu on her back. They were here to find the dark blue divine pearl and would not leave. According to Su Yueshi, it was Chumu who had been protecting her before. Now, Chumu was in a coma due to overdraft, and she was the one protecting Chumu. If this scene was seen by those who knew Su Yueshi, they would be so shocked that their eyeballs would pop out of their sockets. Chumu's overdraft this time was truly too severe. Not only was it a physical overdraft, but it was also a mental overdraft. His powerful functions were causing him to slowly recover. Carrying a person on her back would naturally affect her movements. It was not so convenient, but Su Yueshi could overcome it. Sometimes she would be distracted. If only it could continue like this. The black demon race had all been mobilized, and the black demon beasts were also roaming around. Su Yueshi, carrying Chumu, had encountered several waves of black demon beasts in a row, but these black demon beasts were not powerful, and all of them were killed by Su Yueshi's sword. The awakening of the sacred body of darkness in the dark altar had caused a qualitative change in Su Yueshi. First of all, her cultivation base was originally at the 6th heavenly layer of nirvana, but after the awakening of the sacred body of darkness, she directly jumped to the 7th heavenly layer of nirvana, and her strength had increased significantly. However, this was only the most inconspicuous of all the gains. The second change was that her mastery of the power of darkness had reached the peak of the subtle level. This was a power that was more difficult to cultivate than her cultivation base. The third change was that her affinity with the power of darkness had increased in a straight line and was much stronger than before. This would be more helpful for her future cultivation. Directly improving her cultivation base was a temporary benefit, and the improvement of her affinity with the power of darkness was a long-term benefit. No matter what realm or cultivation base, it would play a great role. There were also the fourth and fifth changes, which Su Yueshi examined one by one. The sacred body of darkness had just awakened, and there was still a lot of potential to be unearthed. It had amazing room for growth. There were 8 demon kings and dozens of commanders of the black demon race. The 8 demon kings each led a team, and dozens of black demon commanders each led a team. They left the territory of the black demon race and entered the black demon abyss to search for outsiders to kill. Their main purpose was to find Chumu and Su Yueshi. The black demon commanders were tyrannical strength. The human race saint-level experts were suppressed by the power of the black demon abyss, and were only at the 9th heavenly layer of nirvana. Most of them were unable to fight against the black demon commanders. If they encountered the demon kings, they would die. In addition to these teams, there were also some teams led by the black demon generals. The black demon generals were high-grade, 8th grade experts. In terms of strength and the special environment of the black demon abyss, they were comparable to ordinary 9th heavenly layer experts of the human race. Within the entire black demon race, there were thousands of high-grade, 8th grade black demons. Under their leadership, there were hundreds of teams. Each team had at least several black demon generals, leading a group of black demon warriors. Even if they encountered 3 or 4 human race saint-level experts, they would be able to fight or even kill them. There were nearly 200 teams sweeping through the Black Demon Abyss. Moreover, the experts of the Black Demon race had special means of communication. As long as they were within a certain distance, they could contact each other and come as reinforcements as soon as possible. Damn the Black Demon race! What the hell is going on? Some human race experts who encountered the Black Demon race teams cursed angrily. Some had died and some had escaped after a bloody battle. The Black Demon race has mobilized on a large scale. It seems that something big has happened. Leave here at once. The Black Demon race has made a big move. It will be very dangerous to continue to stay here. Many of the survivors of the human race made the decision to quickly leave the Black Demon Abyss. But what they did not know was that it was not so easy to leave the Black Demon Abyss. In order to prevent Chu Mu and Su Yueshi from leaving the Black Demon Abyss, the exit leading to the outside had long been surrounded by experts of the Black Demon race. It was conceivable that if they wanted to leave the Black Demon Abyss, they would have to go through a life-and-death battle. Whether they could leave alive in the end was still unknown. Su Yueshi's sword was resolute, fierce, and merciless. One after another, the Black Demon race died under her sword. One after another, the Black Demon beasts died under her sword. She even encountered some human race experts who coveted Su Yueshi's beauty and attempted to violate her, but were also killed by Su Yueshi. Su Yueshi, who was at the 7th heavenly layer of nirvana, could completely kill human race experts of the same cultivation level. Even human race cultivators who were 1 heavenly layer higher than her could not withstand more than a few strikes. The physique of the Black Demon race was special. They did not need to go through nirvana again and again. Therefore, it was far less difficult to reach the 9th heavenly layer of nirvana than the human race. Very few of the human race experts who entered the Black Demon Abyss were at the 9th heavenly layer of nirvana. This was because the human race experts who could cultivate to the 9th heavenly layer of nirvana were all geniuses among geniuses. Each one of them was bound to become a saint, and as long as they did not die prematurely, they would often be able to go very far in the saint realm. Good luck seemed to have ended here. Su Yueshi, who was carrying Chu Mu on her back, once again encountered the Black Demon race team. Moreover, it was a team led by several Black Demon generals. There were dozens of them in total. It's the 2 of you. Surrender obediently. The eyes of the most powerful Black Demon general flickered with a faint light as they fell on Su Yueshi's face. The order of the Black Demon Emperor was to capture the Saint of Darkness alive. Whoever completed this task would be rewarded by the Black Demon Emperor. The reward would increase their strength, allowing them to reach the level of a commander or even stronger. There were 5 Black Demon generals, as well as many 7th, 6th, and 5th grade Black Demons. Su Yueshi's face was solemn. Strictly speaking, the low and middle level Black Demon race were only slightly higher in status than the Black Demon beasts, but at best they were only at the level of cannon fodder. Only those who reached the higher level could be considered a true member of the Black Demon race. There was 1 Black Demon Emperor, 8 Black Demon Kings, dozens of Black Demon commanders, thousands of Black Demon generals, and hundreds of thousands of Black Demon soldiers. The Black Demon Soldiers, which was the general name of the high-level Black Demon race from the high-level Black Demon race to the high-level Black Demon race, numbered in the hundreds of thousands. As for the low and middle-level Black Demon race, there were tens of millions. It was a very large base. Gently putting Chu Mu down from her back, Su Yueshi stood beside Chu Mu with her sword in hand, guarding him closely. She did not speak, but used her actions to express her response. With a slash of her sword light, a sharp black sword light broke through the darkness and charged towards several of the high-level Black Demon race. This sword light lit the fuse and ignited the battle. Kill the men and capture the women alive. The black demon general roared and urged the black demon beast to charge forward with a roar. The strongest thing about the black demon race was their physique, followed by the power of darkness. Therefore, the black demon race were often good at close combat and were very powerful. Facing so many powerful black demon race, Tsuyoshi was not confident. She could only fight with all her strength and protect Chumu, even if she had to pay the price of her life. "I hope you won't let me down." As she whispered, Tsuyoshi's eyes became bright. The dark light was deep and the divine light shone brightly. Strands of black divine splendor shot out from her body like a blooming lotus. Darkness without light. Darkness is pure. Darkness is boundless. Tsuyoshi's red lips opened slightly, and she chanted a mysterious spell in a low voice. Suddenly, it resonated with the surrounding dark aura. The fluctuations merged with the black divine splendor that shot out from her body and spread out. The strange fluctuations spread in the void all around. The faces of the black demon race experts changed. They felt an irresistible force of darkness accumulating power, ready to erupt at any time. Just as this thought flashed through their minds, Tsuyoshi's red lips chanted 4 words that were filled with mysterious and powerful power. Eternal darkness. As soon as these 4 words were uttered, the divine splendor of darkness spread out and instantly covered a radius of 100 meters, enveloping all of the black demon race experts. The eternal darkness was not a force field, nor was it a sword domain, but something similar. It was the 4th benefit that Tsuyoshi obtained after awakening the sacred body of darkness. The eternal darkness covered a radius of 100 meters, whether it was underground or in the air. Everything was covered. Within the eternal darkness, all of the black demon race experts only felt that everything in front of them had become dark, and they could not see anything. This surprised them. It should be known that as natives of the black demon abyss, the darkness of the black demon abyss could not affect them in the slightest, and they could see incomparably clearly. This was also one of the things that they relied on, but now this thing had failed. Then, something that frightened them happened. Not only could they not see anything with their eyes, they could not hear anything with their ears, and could not smell anything with their nose. It was as if their perception had been sealed, and they could not feel any aura fluctuations. In short, their 5 senses were deprived, and even their perception was severely affected. The perception of the black demon race was different from that of the human race. The human race's perception was through the release of divine thoughts, while the black demon race was naturally close to the power of darkness. Therefore, in an environment like the black demon abyss, they developed a unique perception ability by virtue of their affinity with the power of darkness. The higher the cultivation and the stronger the black demon race expert, the stronger their affinity with the power of darkness, and naturally their perception would be stronger. This was also the reason why the black demon race experts did not dare to leave the black demon abyss. Once they left the black demon abyss, it would be difficult for them to adapt to the outside environment, and their strength would be greatly reduced. This was also one of the reasons why the Black Demon Emperor wanted to awaken the sacred body of darkness and control it. It would be more convenient for him to travel in the outside world as a human race expert. Now that their 5 senses were sealed and their perception was deprived, it was a huge blow to the Black Demon race, causing them to directly lose their advantage. On the contrary, in the eternal darkness, Tsuyoshi was the ruler. Her eyes could see every member of the Black Devil clan. She could hear any movement, smell any aura, and feel any aura fluctuations. In the eternal darkness, her advantage was magnified. Chapter 1369. Without a sound, Tsuyoshi appeared beside an advanced 7th grade black demon. That advanced 7th grade black demon was still staring with his eyes wide open, trying to see everything clearly. However, Tsuyoshi was right beside him. She raised her sword and stabbed out. The black sword light merged with the darkness and was undetectable. This advanced 7th grade black demon couldn't react at all. Su Yueshi's sword pierced through his forehead. He let out a blood-curdling scream before he died. It reverberated in Su Yueshi's ears, but the other black demons couldn't hear it at all. Within 100 meters, Su Yueshi was like an excellent hunter, and the black demons were reduced to prey. The saddest thing was that these Black Devil tribe members didn't know how to leave the eternal darkness once they entered. They were surrounded by darkness and couldn't find a way out. On the other hand, Su Yueshi's speed was extremely fast. She easily moved within the eternal darkness as though she was teleporting. "Charge out!" the black demon general roared, but only he could hear his voice. He drove the black demon beast and chose a direction to charge. Su Yueshi's figure appeared without a sound. With a slash of her sword, she decapitated the black demon beast and nailed it to death. A black devil general crazily unleashed a barrage of attacks. Terrifying energy blasted outwards. Some hit other black devil members, while one blasted towards Chu-Mu. Su Yueshi's face suddenly changed. Chu-Mu was currently unconscious. Once he was hit, it was very likely that he would die. With a thought, Su Yueshi appeared in the path of the black demon general's attack as though she had teleported. She used the sword in her hand to shatter the black demon general's attack. With another flash, she appeared beside the black demon general and killed him. The Saint Constitution of Darkness was a very powerful physique. It had an amazing affinity with the power of darkness. This was something that even the Black Demon Emperor envied. It was just one of the many things. The eternal darkness was also one of the essential abilities of the Saint Constitution of Darkness. It was a very terrifying ability. Su Yueshi's sacred body of darkness was only in its initial awakening. She herself had only grasped the initial mastery of it. Therefore, the eternal darkness she displayed wasn't that powerful. This was the Black Demon Abyss, which was full of rich, dark aura and dark power, which greatly enhanced the eternal darkness. Otherwise, if they were in the outside world. With Su Yueshi's current mastery, the eternal darkness she could display would only have a range of about 10 meters and could only affect the 5 senses, not deprive them. In short, the dark power and dark aura of the Black Demon Abyss had strengthened the eternal darkness that Su Yueshi had used by at least 10 times. At the same time, due to the sacred body of darkness's high affinity with the power of darkness, the eternal darkness's energy consumption was greatly reduced. Otherwise, Su Yueshi wouldn't have been able to hold on for long. Despite the various convenient conditions, the eternal darkness still drained her energy at an alarming rate. Su Yueshi knew that she had to end the battle quickly. As time went on, her energy would be depleted. When that happened, she and Chu-Mu would be at a disadvantage. The unconscious Chu-Mu's divine sense seemed to have dried up. He didn't know anything, but he was in the process of self-recovery. Whether it was the power of his divine sense, the divine wilderness sword essence, or his physical strength, they were all recovering bit by bit. With another strike, another member of the Black Demon race died under Su Yueshi's sword. In the eternal darkness, it was not practical to display powerful sword techniques, as it would cause unnecessary energy to be wasted. More than half of the dozens of high-level Black Demon race members had died under Su Yueshi's sword. Deprived of their 5 senses and sealed off their perception, they couldn't see, hear, smell, or feel anything. This would drive people crazy. Many high-level Black Demon race members had gone crazy. In such a situation, they naturally didn't care about anything and attacked recklessly. Tyrannical energy overflowed and affected their surroundings. More and more Black Demon race members went crazy, which brought Su Yueshi a lot of trouble. This was because Su Yueshi had to take care of Chu-Mu and avoid being hit by the attacks of the crazy Black Demon race members. Finally, a few of the crazy Black Demon race members charged out of the eternal darkness. They realized that their 5 senses and perception had returned. They were pleasantly surprised and quickly sent out a message to gather the nearest team of black demon race members. Sure enough, the closest team received the message and quickly rushed over. Tsu Yueshi couldn't stop them. If she was alone, even if she couldn't kill these black demon race members, she could still retreat calmly. However, with the addition of the unconscious Chu Mu, who didn't have any defensive power, the outcome was different. Even though she could kill rank 8 black demon race members and even fight with a black demon commander, there were too many powerful black demon race members. These black demon race members weren't ants. She took out a large amount of elixir pills and consumed them without time to refine them properly. Under such circumstances, there would be a lot of elixir dregs left, which would affect her meridians and other things. She would need time to purge them. The sword essence in her body was recovering rapidly to support the use of the eternal darkness. Tsu Yueshi stabbed her sword into the ground with a solemn expression. Her hands moved rapidly as though she was forming a seal. The 5th ability of the sacred body of darkness was displayed. Strong waves of darkness spread out from her body. Between the waves, it was like the rise and fall of the tide. Immediately after, a powerful suction force burst out from her body. In an instant, the power of the eternal darkness was completely absorbed into her body. Even the dark aura within 1,000 meters was instantly absorbed, causing a temporary vacuum and emptiness to appear within 1,000 meters. This caused the black demon race members in the area to feel extremely uncomfortable. If the black demon abyss was compared to the sea, the black demon race would be like the fish in the sea. Now that a certain area of the seawater had been sucked dry, the fish would naturally feel very uncomfortable. However, the dark power and aura from other places soon surged in and filled the empty space that had appeared. Only then did the black demon race members feel a little more comfortable and couldn't help but take a deep breath. At this moment, with a boom, a black flame emerged from Tsu Yueshi's body and burned fiercely. The black flame didn't have any temperature and seemed like it was fake. However, it contained a power that made one's heart palpitate. Within the burning black flame, Tsu Yueshi was like a witch who had descended. Immediately, the black flame gathered behind Tsu Yueshi's back and stretched out, condensing into a pair of black flaming demonic wings. The flaming demonic wings flapped gently. The experts of the black demon race only caught a glimpse of a faint light that flashed by. Immediately after, someone was killed. Dark demon god transformation. This was the 5th benefit of the awakening of the sacred body of darkness. However, Tsu Yueshi had just awakened and was not familiar with it. In addition, she didn't have enough strength. Therefore, the dark demon god transformation that she displayed was not complete. In other words, it was only a small part of it. Even though it was only a small part, it greatly increased Tsu Yueshi's strength. Under absolute speed, even the black demon generals couldn't catch her trajectory. Tsu Yueshi's sword slashed down one by one. Her speed was fast to the extreme and unstoppable. Soon, all of the Black Devil tribe members had died under Tsu Yueshi's sword. She herself had not expected the Dark Fiend celestial transformation to be so powerful. If she had known earlier, she would not have executed the eternal darkness and would have executed the Dark Fiend celestial transformation directly. After killing dozens of high-level black demon race members, Tsu Yueshi couldn't be bothered to collect the spoils of war because she felt that there were more powerful auras coming this way. The flaming demonic wings flashed and appeared beside Chu Mu. Once again, she carried Chu Mu and flew away, disappearing in the blink of an eye. After 3 breaths, a group of black demon race members appeared. Seeing dozens of black demon race members' corpses, their eyes burned with anger. Who dares to kill the warriors of our race? Track them down. Immediately, according to the corpses and traces left behind, they made a judgment and determined the direction of the murderer. Dozens of people rode on their black demon beasts and quickly chased after the murderer. The direction they chose was correct. It was the direction where Tsu Yueshi had taken Chumu. A black light flew across the sky and landed. The flaming demonic wings behind Tsuyueshi's back dissipated and turned back into a ball of black flame that entered her body. After landing, Tsuyueshi's face was pale. Although the dark demon god transformation was powerful, it consumed too much energy. She couldn't hold on for long. But this place should be very far away. Tsuyueshi once again carried Chumu forward, absorbing the dark power of the black demon abyss to restore her consumed energy. The power of the saint body of darkness was once again reflected. The endless dark power constantly poured into her body and quickly restored her cultivation base. Inside the black demon pool, there were many dangers, and it was even more dangerous than before. If one continued to stay here, one could encounter danger at any time, but it was also very difficult to leave. At the edge of the black demon pool, there were experts of the black demon race standing guard. Anyone who wanted to leave would encounter them and be intercepted. A bloody battle unfolded at the edge of the black demon abyss. The experts of the black demon race died one after another, and the experts of the outsiders also died one after another. The losses were heavy. Tsuyueshi carried Chumu forward. Time and time again, she encountered strong enemies. Time and time again, she fought, killed, and escaped. The continuous bloody battle made her more familiar with the saint body of darkness and the various abilities of the saint body of darkness. Now that the eternal darkness was unfolded, it covered a range of 150 meters. This was an improvement. However, Tsuyueshi was now in great danger. Not long ago, she encountered a group of black demon race people with Chumu on her back. One of them was a black demon commander. She fought with all her strength and killed many experts of the black demon race. Under the dark demon god transformation, she almost killed the black demon commander. But because Chumu was threatened, she had to give up and save Chumu, and the black demon commander took the opportunity to seriously injure her. She escaped with Chumu, and now, almost exhausted, she encountered a group of humans. Unexpectedly, these humans were attracted by Tsuyueshi's beauty. Seeing her pale face and weak appearance, and Chumu's unconscious appearance, they suddenly became lustful. The cultivation of these humans was not weak. Tsuyueshi, who was now exhausted, could not fight them at all. With a touch of determination in her eyes, Tsuyueshi made a decision. Chumu's eyes, which had been closed, also opened. Chapter 1370. Beauty, there is no future for you to stay with this sickly guy. Why don't you come with us and serve us well? I guarantee that you will have boundless happiness. That's right, a beauty like you should be raised in a gorgeous palace and not come to a dangerous place like the black demon abyss to take risks. The few humans were all lustful and carried away by her beauty. The original Tsuyueshi was already beautiful and moving. After the awakening of the saint body of darkness, her charm had greatly increased, and her whole person exuded a mysterious aura which made people want to explore more. Now that she had exhausted her strength, her face was pale, and she gave people a feeling of weakness. Under all these circumstances, it was no wonder that these humans would be lustful and forget themselves. There were a total of 4 of them, one of whom was at the 8th heaven of Nirvana realm, and the other 3 were at the 7th heaven of Nirvana realm. To be able to survive in the black demon abyss, especially when the black demon race had mobilized in large numbers, was enough to show that their luck and strength were extraordinary. If Tsuyueshi still had strength, these 4 people would be nothing to her. Even if her strength was almost exhausted, Tsuyueshi would not sit still and wait for death. She could still attack, but the consequences were unpredictable. A weak fluctuation of power condensed on Tsuyueshi's body, rose and gradually grew stronger. Her face also became paler, as if she was overdrawing. Just then, a voice sounded in her ear. The voice was gentle, and had a feeling that she had not heard for a long time. It made her startled, and she almost shed tears. "These people, leave them to me, Chumu," who had opened his eyes, said indifferently, "Okay." Su Yueshi dispersed the condensed power, sheathed her sword, and her tense body also seemed to relax. "Oh, Beauty, you know that resistance is useless, so you gave up." "Wise thing to do." The 4 humans spoke again. They also noticed that Chumu had opened his eyes, but did not take it to heart because Chumu's body did not have any strong aura fluctuations, and on the contrary was somewhat weak. Chumu, who had awakened, got up and his aura was weak. Although he had awakened, the power of his consciousness, the divine wilderness sword chi and physical strength had not fully recovered, and had only recovered a small part which was far from his peak. Even so, Chumu, whose face was still somewhat pale, was fearless. The heaven-slaying sword appeared in his hand, and his indifferent gaze swept across the 4 humans. Chumu didn't know what happened after he fainted. However, when he was about to wake up, he heard every word of the 4 humans. He also felt that Su Yueshi's situation wasn't good. "This sickly fellow still wants to fight. Come, this grandpa is right here. Come, stab here." A 7th sky of Nirvana realm, cultivator, pointed at his own heart and jokingly said to Chumu, "As you wish," Chumu said calmly. And just like that, he stabbed out with his sword. A line of sword radiance tore through the dark void like a meteor flashing across the sky. When everyone reacted, they only saw a trace left in the void, as if it was eternal. The sword broke through the True Kong armor and tore through the True Kong armor. The sword pierced through the True Kong armor and pierced through the True Kong armor into his heart. The power exploded, shattering his heart instantly. One sword insta-kill. Even though Chumu's strength hadn't fully recovered, and his strength was less than 20% of his heyday, he was still very powerful. It wasn't difficult for him to kill a 7th sky of Nirvana realm cultivator. While the other 3 people were stunned, Chumu's sword had already been pulled out of the man's heart. Nobody knew when, but a sword appeared in his left hand. He held a sword in each hand and slashed out twice. The ordinary trajectory of the slash contained a mysterious and unpredictable feeling. No, a 7th sky of Nirvana realm cultivator screamed in panic, but he couldn't save his life. The sword light flashed and took his life. In the end, only an 8th sky of Nirvana realm cultivator was left. "I'll kill you." The 8th sky of Nirvana realm cultivator roared in panic and slashed out with his sword. The sword aura was terrifying like the might of heaven. The 8th sky of Nirvana realm's cultivation was vividly displayed. Facing such a fierce attack, Su Yueshi's face was a little dignified. Chumu, however, casually used the 2 swords in his hands to parry, move, divert the force, disintegrate, and then slash out from the most mysterious angle. Sword intent controlled all forces. Under the sword intent, all the opponent's reaction and trajectory were under his control. His eyes were filled with astonishment and disbelief. He, a super genius of the 8th sky of Nirvana realm, couldn't even block one sword attack. Everything in front of him dimmed. His consciousness also fell into chaos, sinking, disappearing, and dying. After killing 4 people in a row, Chumu took a breath. He already didn't have enough strength, but now he had consumed a part of it. "Let's recover first." Chumu glanced at Su Yueshi and said faintly, "Okay." Su Yueshi nodded hard, sat down cross-legged, and concentrated on recovering. The rich power of darkness constantly poured into her body, like a trickle of spring water moisturizing her almost dried-up meridians and dantian. Ever since Chumu had rescued him from the Black Devil race, he had not been able to fully focus on recovering. Now that Chumu had awakened, he no longer needed to be distracted. The feeling of wholeheartedly recovering was very, very good. With a trace of indescribable satisfaction, Su Yueshi was completely immersed in recovery, forgetting everything in the outside world. She believed that, no matter what happened, Chumu could still solve it. While Su Yueshi was recovering her strength, Chumu was also recovering his strength. However, he did not wholeheartedly recover, but only separated a part of his mind to control, slowly operating the divine wilderness sword art, absorbing the Yuan Qi power around him and refining it. Such a recovery speed was naturally not fast enough, but for now it was enough. After Su Yueshi fully recovered, he could then wholeheartedly recover. In the black demon abyss, there was no aura fluctuation around, and everything seemed quiet. Countless dark forces gathered. A small part was absorbed by Chu Mu, and the majority poured into Su Yueshi's body. Su Yueshi's whole person was wrapped in a black aura, flickering with black light. While absorbing the power to recover, Chu Mu was also paying attention to the movements around him. He also noticed Su Yueshi's movements and was surprised. He remembered that when Su Yueshi recovered, the speed of absorbing the dark forces was not so fast. Now, it was at least several times faster. Could this be the effect of the saint body of darkness? Chu Mu secretly said. His guess was right, but not completely right, because that was just one of the advantages of the saint body of darkness. Time slowly passed, but in the black demon abyss, it was difficult to feel. Su Yueshi opened her eyes, a glimmer of crystal flashing, and the aura of her body dispersed. She had completely recovered. Without saying anything, Chu Mu sat down cross-legged, handed over the protection to Su Yueshi, and wholeheartedly recovered his strength. Chu Mu originally did not have much confidence in the black demon race's territory, but he could not give up on Su Yueshi, so he took the risk. That would have been a dead end, but he felt that there was always a glimmer of hope, and as long as he could grasp it, he might be able to turn misfortune into fortune. To his surprise, he unexpectedly received unexpected support. The voice that sounded in his heart was none other than the invincible expert within the Sword Sect Spirit Seal, Bai Ling. Since the last time, Chu Mu had not entered the Sword Sect Spirit Seal again, and did not know that Bai Ling knew what was happening in the outside world. With the support of Bai Ling, the pressure in Chu Mu's heart was suddenly swept away. He seemed to be rejuvenated, more confident and more confident. But Chu Mu did not know how Bai Ling would support him. Would he directly appear from the Sword Sect Spirit Seal? With his invincible strength, would he sweep across the black demon race and kill them all? At the last moment, Chu Mu knew that the so-called support was to let him master a tyrannical power. Whether that power was given to him by Bai Ling or from the Sword Sect Spirit Seal, Chu Mu did not know. He only knew that, in that state, his strength had increased by many times, and the skyrocketing power was completely under his control. His entire person had also entered a very strange state. In this state, the various abilities that he had mastered seemed to be gathered, truly condensing into one force. There was only one force, and not the slightest bit of it leaked out. The power of each force was fully displayed, and there was not the slightest bit of waste. Under that state and power, even the doppelganger of the Black Demon Emperor would die under his sword. Even if the 8 Black Demon Kings joined forces, they would not be his match. Everything around him was under his control. If Bai Ling had not reminded him that he could not maintain that state for long, Chu Mu would have continued to fight with the 8 Black Demon Kings. That feeling was wonderful. Every bit of his strength was condensed and used to its fullest. The longer he was immersed in that state, the more advantageous it would be for him. After charging out of the Black Demon Race's territory, that state faded, and the aftereffects appeared. This somewhat exceeded Chu Mu's expectations. The aftereffects came so quickly and suddenly that Chu Mu became extremely weak. That kind of weakness was the weakness of his consciousness, body, and sword yuan. His entire person was weak from the inside to the outside. At that time, the most important thing to do was to stop and have a good rest, and let his strength slowly recover. However, he had just left the Black Demon Race's territory, and it was still very dangerous. Su Yueshi was also unconscious, so Chu Mu did not dare to stop. Otherwise, all his efforts would have been in vain. Naturally, he gritted his teeth and persevered, digging out his potential and exhausting every bit of strength until the end. Doing so was tantamount to overdrafting his strength. In serious cases, it may cause permanent damage. Chu Mu's luck was not bad. Although he had overdrafted himself and was unconscious, he did not suffer any damage and slowly recovered. It was not until just now that he made up for his overdraft and woke up. During the period of unconsciousness, although Chu Mu could not perceive anything, the powerful strength he had gained this time had gathered and settled in his heart bit by bit. Before he woke up, he had a period of time to sort it out. If he had not been disturbed and did not know whether he was safe or not, he planned to completely sort it out before waking up. The 4 opponents he encountered as soon as he woke up were not weak. Chu Mu only had a little strength left, but he still managed to kill them. This was also because he had gained something. The current him was even stronger. Chapter 1371. The tyrannical aura was like a surging tide. As it rose and fell, there were invisible sound waves rippling, and then it returned to silence. It was like the curtain had fallen. Chu Mu got up. His strength had finally been completely restored. I didn't expect that after exhausting my strength and recovering, there would be an improvement. Chu Mu secretly smiled after a little inspection. His cultivation base was originally at the middle of the 5th sky of Nirvana realm, but now it had risen to the peak of the 5th sky of Nirvana realm. However, this was in the aspect of chi cultivation, and there was no improvement in the aspect of body cultivation. He was still at the middle of the 5th sky of Nirvana realm. Chu Mu also found that the power of his consciousness seemed to be purer and more condensed. All in all, he was now much stronger than before he fell into a coma. Chu Mu secretly called Bai Ling, but did not get a response. Now was not a good time to enter the Sword Sect Spirit Seal, so he could only put it aside for the time being. He chatted with Su Yueshi for a while. Su Yueshi spoke very simply and lightly, but Chu Mu could imagine what kind of danger Su Yueshi had experienced with him after he fell into a coma. He was deeply grateful in his heart, but did not say it out loud because there was no need to say it and there was no point in saying it. However, Chu Mu learned more about Su Yueshi's saint body of darkness. Su Yueshi did not hide anything and told Chu Mu everything. The eternal darkness, dark demon god transformation, and so on made Chu Mu marvel. Simply put, Su Yueshi was now a lot stronger than before, and if she used the dark demon god transformation, her strength would be further improved. From Su Yueshi, Chu Mu also roughly knew that the black demon race was now almost fully mobilized to search for the 2 of them. In other words, the black demon pool had become very dangerous and could be besieged by the experts of the black demon race at any time. And there were many black demon pool experts guarding the edge of the black demon pool to prevent Chu Mu and Su Yueshi from leaving. Chu Mu thought for a moment. Leaving the black demon pool would undoubtedly be very difficult, at least for now. On the contrary, it may be safer inside the black demon pool. Let's search for a while longer. If we really can't find the indigo divine pearl, we'll leave, Chu Mu said, seeking Su Yueshi's opinion. Su Yueshi nodded. Chu Mu noticed that the way Su Yueshi looked at him seemed a little different from before, but he didn't think too much about it, because he was thinking about a problem and making a decision. The 2 of them had known each other for so long, and they could be considered friends. They were friends who had gone through life and death together. They were trustworthy. Since that was the case, Chu Mu flipped his hand, and a deep blue bead appeared in his palm. Just as Su Yueshi was about to say something, her eyes suddenly froze. Immediately, a kind of amazement flashed in her eyes, and she couldn't help but be attracted. "This is the deep blue divine pearl," Chu Mu said softly. "I wonder if the divine pearls can sense each other?" That's right. The reason Chu Mu had taken out the deep blue divine pearl was to see if there was a connection between the deep blue divine pearls. If there was, it would be easier to find other deep blue divine pearls in the future. However, with the deep blue divine pearl in his hand, there was no movement. Chu Mu was not in a hurry and just waited. Time passed little by little. An hour later, Chu Mu's ears moved slightly. He heard some sounds that were rapidly approaching. With a flip of his hand, the deep blue divine pearl was put back into the small space that he carried with him. 3 breaths later, Tsuyoshi also looked in a certain direction. It was a team of Black Demon Clan. This team of Black Demon Clan was led by a Black Demon commander. Chu Mu's eyes suddenly lit up. "Tsuyoshi, go kill them," Chu Mu said. His figure flashed, and light, and very quickly, he flew toward the team of Black Demon Clan. Tsuyoshi followed closely, and her aura gradually condensed. Human clan. A man and a woman. It's her, the saint body of darkness. Capture the woman alive, kill the man. Under the leadership of the Black Demon Commander, a group of high-level black demons rushed over. There was no need to talk nonsense. The two sides were like fire and water. It was either you die or I die. There was only a battle, and only the sword in hand would decide the winner. One on the left and one on the right, Chu Mu and Tsuyoshi rushed toward the team of Black Demon Clan. Unknowingly, the imperishable sword had also appeared in his left hand. He did not use the sword domain, nor did he use the force field. He simply surged with speed, like a gust of wind and lightning, extremely fast. The sword moved and the sword light split. It was ordinary, but it contained all kinds of mysteries. Where the heart was, the sword would be. After overdrawing his strength, Chu Mu had a deeper grasp and application of the sword in the heart realm. Under the sword light, there was a flash of blood and there were short screams. Chu Mu seemed to have turned into a sword light, breaking through layers of obstacles and killing into the team of Black Demon Clan. Wherever he passed, the two swords were merciless. Kill, 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 kill. Tsuyoshi's sword was like black lightning. It was deep and sharp, and its power was amazing. The awakening of the saint body of darkness made her every sword attack stronger. In just 10 breaths, dozens of high-level black demons. Only the Black Demon Commander was intact. The rest were all dead. "This is impossible," the Black Demon Commander roared. He was about to go crazy. It was hard to imagine that these 2 humans had slaughtered all of his subordinates in just 10 breaths. The furious Hei Emo commander immediately used the secret technique of the Hei Emo clan. Dark energy continuously gathered around him. His originally strong body swelled up once again. His muscles bulged as if they were made of steel. He looked even bigger. The aura around his body became even more intense. Die. Under the secret technique, the strength of the Black Demon Commander increased. He became more and more powerful. The huge axe in his hand slashed toward Chu Mu. It was as if the axe was going to split the world. This axe's momentum was heavy and ferocious beyond compare. Even a mountain would be split apart. The terrifying aura was enough to make people's hearts tremble. However, Chu Mu's eyes slightly narrowed. A luster flashed through his pupils. The trajectory of the axe was clearly visible. No change could escape his eyes. Everything was within his grasp. His body only lightly swayed. An incomparably sharp and violent axe that was chopping downwards was almost right next to Chu Mu's chest. The 2 swords, in an instant, pierced and chopped from an inconceivable angle. One sword stabbed the armor of the Black Demon Commander. The terrifying sword light pierced through the armor but was blocked. The other sword was slapped away by the Black Demon Commander. The axe spun, bringing along a terrifying whirlwind. The axe light was heavy. The Black Demon Beast, under it, cooperated and spun to the extreme. The axe light was like a storm, strangling everything. Chu Mu retreated. His eyes were fixed on the axe. Immediately, he flew up and stabbed the 2 swords at the same spot. The blazing axe light slowly stopped. There was a bloody hole between the eyebrows of the Black Demon Commander. Dead. The whole team of Black Demon Clan was dead. Their interspatial rings became the spoils of war for Chu Mu and Tsuyoshi. According to the current situation, as long as they did not encounter the Black Demon King. The rest of the Black Demon clan was no match for Chu-Mu and Tsuyoshi. Chu-Mu's strength now was somewhat invincible in the Nirvana realm. Unless it was some monstrous genius in the ninth sky of Nirvana realm, no one would be a match for Chu-Mu. To be able to reach this step, it could be said to be heaven-defying. Chu-Mu took out the deep blue sacred pearl again. This time, the deep blue sacred pearl moved. A faint, deep blue light flashed, as if it was indicating something. His divine sense fell on the deep blue sacred pearl. Suddenly, there was a strange feeling. It was as if there was another deep blue sacred pearl somewhere. He could vaguely sense the direction. Putting away the deep blue sacred pearl, Chu-Mu led Tsuyoshi in the direction he sensed. Then they encountered a human. He looked to be in his 30s or 40s. He was tall with broad shoulders and a square face. When he opened and closed his eyes, there was a threatening sharpness. When Chu-Mu and Tsuyoshi met him, the man's face was pale and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. He was obviously seriously injured. Is the deep blue sacred pearl on him? Chu-Mu thought to himself. It was just a guess, and there was no way to confirm it. The middle-aged man also noticed Chu-Mu and Tsuyoshi. When he saw Tsuyoshi, there was a flash of surprise in his eyes, but it soon disappeared. Chu-Mu was secretly amazed by her tenacity. Immediately, the middle-aged man's eyes fell on Chu-Mu as if he wanted to see through Chu-Mu. The more he looked, the more surprised he was. Chu-Mu also noticed that the middle-aged man was holding a black iron longsword. There was no blood on the sword, but it emitted a shocking sharpness and murderous intent. It seemed that he had just gone through a fierce battle. While the man was sizing up Chu-Mu, Chu-Mu was also sizing him up. After that, Chu-Mu made his own judgment. This man was a saint, but he did not know how many levels of cultivation he had. Moreover, this man was a saint who mainly used the sword. It was very likely that he was a sword saint. In addition, this man was seriously injured, which should be related to the Black Demon clan. Compared to Chu-Mu, the man could not see much from Chu-Mu. He could only be sure that this seemingly young man had extraordinary achievements in sword Dao. My name is Xiajinkong. What's your name, little friend? The man said his name first, and then asked. He did not seem to have any ill intentions. Chu-Mu. Chu-Mu answered. Tsuyoshi did not say anything. When he said his name, Xiajinkong paid special attention to Chu-Mu and Tsuyoshi's expressions. He was surprised to find that their expressions did not change after hearing his name, as if they had never heard his name before. Speaking of Xiajinkong, he was a well-known expert in the firmament territory. Basically, almost all the practitioners knew his name. This was because Xiajinkong's cultivation had reached the 7th heaven of Aeon, and he was also a sword cultivator. In short, Xiajinkong was a 7-star sword saint. There were not many sword saints, let alone a 7-star sword saint. After all, the first highest elder of the true sword sect was only a 6-star sword saint. Of course, Chu-Mu did not know that this seriously injured middle-aged man in front of him was a 7-star sword saint. Chapter 1372. Chu-Mu chatted with Xiajinkong for a while, as it was rare for him to meet someone of the same kind who was not hostile to him. Although Xiajinkong was a sword saint and a 7-star sword saint at that, he was not an arrogant person. On the contrary, he had achieved his current achievements step by step, and he was well aware of the hardships he had gone through. Therefore, he always maintained a calm heart. Having lived for hundreds of years, he had come into contact with a lot of people of all kinds. When he saw Chu-Mu, he felt that he was very extraordinary, which was why he wanted to befriend him. Today, his cultivation and strength were far superior to his opponent's, but in the future, his opponent may catch up to him or even surpass him. Such examples had often appeared since ancient times. The Black Demon Abyss is very dangerous, especially now that the Black Demon race has gone crazy and is killing the human race everywhere. Little friend Chu, you'd better leave as soon as possible. After chatting for a while, Xiajinkong said to Chu-Mu, and then added jokingly, "The black demon race is ferocious and cruel by nature, and you have a beautiful female companion with you. If you run into them, I'm afraid it will be very troublesome." "We're looking for the deep blue divine pearl," Chu Mu said directly, watching Xia Jinkong's reaction. Chu Mu said this because he wanted to confirm whether the deep blue divine pearl was with Xia Jinkong. "Almost everyone who entered here came for the deep blue divine pearl," Xia Jinkong said. "It's just that we don't know where that person is hiding, and whether the deep blue divine pearl has been obtained by others." Xia Jinkong's expression did not change in the slightest, but Chu Mu could not help but be a little surprised. Could it be that the deep blue divine pearl's reaction was not because it sensed that there were other divine pearls nearby, or that Xia Jinkong did not have that divine pearl? For a moment, various thoughts flashed through Chu Mu's mind. At this time, Xia Jinkong groaned, his body trembled, and a wisp of black qi surged to his face, causing his expression to change dramatically. Sitting down cross-legged, Xia Jinkong closed his eyes and placed his sword on his legs. He formed a seal with both hands and began to circulate his cultivation technique. Waves of dark demon qi emerged from his body and filled his entire body. His own strength was resisting the dark demon qi unceasingly. It was as sharp as a sword, trying to destroy the dark demon qi. However, the dark demon qi was very tenacious. It was unceasingly absorbing energy from the outside to resist Xia Jinkong's strength. What a powerful, dark, demonic energy! Chu Mu was surprised, and so was Su Yueshi. The quality of the dark devil qi was much purer than what Su Yueshi could control. "This is the energy fluctuation of the battle demon king," Chu Mu concluded after sensing it carefully. Xia Jinkong's strength was unceasingly resisting the dark demon qi. Gradually, he managed to suppress the dark demon qi. However, at the moment when the dark demon qi was about to be destroyed, a sudden change occurred. A hidden energy inside the dark demon qi suddenly erupted. That energy was filled with the smell of death. It was like a peerless assassin's attack. Xia Jinkong's body trembled, and he groaned, spurting out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale, and his body trembled. The energy fluctuation of the Earth Demon King. Chu Mu's expression slightly changed. Xia Jinkong was injured by the Battle Demon King and the Earth Demon King. With a quick thought, Chu Mu decided to help. "Su Yueshi, can you guide the dark energy out of his body?" Chu Mu asked. "Yes," Su Yueshi replied and reached out her hand. Under a suction force, the dark energy in Xia Jinkong's body was immediately pulled out of his body and flew to Su Yueshi's palm, being absorbed by her. Not long after, the dark energy in Xia Jinkong's body was completely absorbed by Su Yueshi, leaving only the death energy that was constantly destroying the vitality in his body. Since the dark energy was taken care of by Su Yueshi, the death energy was naturally taken care of by Chu Mu. He pointed with one hand, and a green light shot out from his fingertip. The green light that contained a rich vitality shot into Xia Jinkong's body, condensing into a sword that pierced towards the death energy. Chu Mu's wood aspect in his heart had been absorbed time after time, and the vitality it contained was incomparably rich. Since he rarely used it, there was still a lot of it left, and it continued to attack the death energy in Xia Jinkong's body, causing the death energy to continuously dissipate. Under Chu Mu's control, the vitality was divided into two parts, one to resist the death energy, and the other to repair Xia Jinkong's body that was corroded by the death energy. The death energy was ultimately unable to effectively replenish itself. Under Chu Mu's life force, it continuously retreated and scattered. Xia Jinkong received the support and adjusted his own strength, coordinating with the life force to encircle and annihilate the retreating death energy. One had to admit that the death energy was very cunning, as if it had its own consciousness. When it sensed that it was not a match for the vitality, It actually wanted to retreat and hide in the depths of Xia Jinkong's body. Fortunately, Xia Jinkong reacted in time and encircled it. Under the two's cooperation, they finally defeated the death energy completely. Chu Mu then sent another strand of vitality into Xia Jinkong's body, replenishing his lost vitality. Xia Jinkong couldn't help but sigh. If it wasn't because he felt that Chu Mu was extraordinary and wanted to befriend him, he was afraid that his injuries would erupt. Even if he didn't die, he would still be severely injured. It would be very detrimental to his future cultivation, and he might not even be able to make any progress or even regress. It could be said that Chu Mu and Su Yueshi's help, especially Chu Mu's, saved Xia Jinkong's future cultivation path. This was a huge favor, not inferior to the favor of saving his life, perhaps even surpassing it. After all, for a true cultivator, not being able to make any progress or even regress was more terrifying than losing one's life. Xia Jinkong stood up and saluted Chu Mu with his sword. It was a great gesture for a sword saint to salute a junior in the Nirvana realm. "Senior, you don't have to do that," Chu Mu said. "If you don't mind, we can call each other brothers." Xia Jinkong said, "Brother Xia." Chu Mu didn't refuse. It was just a form of address. Xia Jinkong was much better than Chu Mu in terms of age, cultivation, and strength. They had a good conversation, and they had a good impression of each other. It was reasonable to call him brother. "Brother Chu." Xia Jinkong laughed. He then looked at Su Yueshi and said, "How should I address you, sister-in-law?" Chu Mu was startled when he called her sister-in-law. Su Yueshi blushed. "Brother Xia, please don't joke around," Chu Mu said, helplessly. He had never thought about love, and he subconsciously thought that Su Yueshi was the same. Therefore, he thought that Xia Jinkong was joking and would make Su Yueshi feel awkward. "She's Su Yueshi, a good friend of mine." Hearing Chu Mu's words, Su Yueshi's eyes flashed with a touch of disappointment. Xia Jinkong saw it and immediately understood what was going on. A mysterious smile flashed across his face. He then looked at Su Yueshi and said, "Thank you for your help." "Brother Xia, you're welcome," Su Yueshi said softly. This made Chu Mu surprised. She seemed to be different from the usual Su Yueshi. It seems that sister Su has feelings for brother Chu, but brother Chu didn't realize it. Xia Jinkong thought to himself, but he didn't intend to point out. He would let nature take its course. If he forcibly intervened, it would cause unnecessary misunderstandings. "Brother Chu, are you going to leave the Black Demon Pool, or?" Xia Jinkong changed the subject. "Stay and continue to look for the deep blue divine pearl," Chu Mu said. "In that case, how about me?" Xia Jinkong said, "Of course, if we find the deep blue divine pearl, it'll belong to you." Xia Jinkong's words were sincere. "Brother Xia's injuries haven't healed yet, right?" Chu Mu said. He had just sent some vitality over, but Xia Jinkong was seriously injured and had not recovered. "It's okay, I'm almost there. As long as we don't encounter two demon kings, we can fight," Xia Jinkong said. "Then let's go together," Chu Mu said. Thus, Chu Mu's team, from the original 2 people, became 3 people. Su Yueshi didn't express any opinion. She didn't know why, but the way Xia Jinkong addressed her just now seemed to echo in her mind, sister-in-law. Along the way, in search of the deep blue divine pearl, Xia Jinkong would chat with Chu Mu from time to time. But most of the time it was Chu Mu asking and Xia Jinkong answering. After all, Chu Mu was not from the deep blue world, while Xia Jinkong was an indigenous expert who had lived for hundreds of years and was very knowledgeable. He was happy to introduce to Chu Mu. As they talked, the topic of the two turned to the deep blue divine pearl. Xia Jinkong knew more about the deep blue divine pearl than Chu Mu. There are a total of 18 deep blue divine pearls. If you gather all 18 of them, you can open the center of the world and find the world spirit. If you can get the world spirit's approval, you can become the world lord, Xia Jinkong said. However, these are all legends. Whether it's true or not hasn't been verified because, until now, no one has gathered all 18 deep blue divine pearls. By the way, Brother Chu, since you're also looking for the deep blue divine pearl, you must be careful of the imperial court. They're also looking for the deep blue divine pearl all over the world. If they find out who has it, they'll snatch it, Xia Jinkong said seriously. Imperial court? Chu Mu was surprised. That's right. The imperial court is an ancient organization, and a very powerful one at that. It's said that the founder of the imperial court is a saint emperor. He's not the slightest bit inferior to the Kanglin dynasty or the Heaven Vault, Holy Land. In fact, he's even a little bit stronger than them. Moreover, the people of the imperial court are very domineering. They don't need any evidence, Xia Jinkong added, further explaining to Chu Mu how strong and domineering the imperial court was. If we continue to search for the deep blue divine pearl, we'll have a conflict with the imperial court one day, right? Chu Mu said. Yes, Xia Jinkong said. Why don't you tell me more about the deep blue divine pearl and the imperial court? Chu Mu smiled. Chapter 1373. I didn't expect you to be the master of a sect, Xia Jinkong said in surprise. Su Yueshi was not surprised, because she had already learned about it from her conversation with Chu Mu. It's just a small sect, Chu Mu said. Real sword sect. Xia Jinkong thought for a moment. I've heard of this sect before. It's a sect master who focuses on the sword, and the disciples only cultivate the sword, not magic. It seems that it used to be a big sect, but for some reason it declined. However, as a big sword sect, it should have a lot of resources. I wonder if it's short of people. As he spoke, Xia Jinkong looked at Chu Mu. Brother, since you're the master of the real sword sect, can you let me take on a position? Xia Jinkong asked directly. Chu Mu was stunned for a moment, then immediately understood what Xia Jinkong meant. This was a way to repay his kindness. Since Brother Xia doesn't mind that the real sword sect is a small sect, please be the guest elder of the real sword sect, Chu Mu said seriously. Xia Jinkong greets the master. Xia Jinkong cupped his hands at Chu Mu and immediately laughed. 3 humans kill them all. A cold and cruel voice sounded, and waves of dark aura surged. A group of dozens of high-level black demons riding high-level black demon beasts charged over. A group of black demon bastards all die. Xia Jinkong's eyes shot out an astonishing cold light, like a sword light tearing the sky. Immediately, he pulled out his long sword light and slashed. It instantly turned into a huge white sword light, pure and unique, and the darkness melted under the sword light. The power of light! The black demon commander roared, his voice full of disgust. Yes, Xia Jinkong mainly cultivated the power of light, and his sword skills were mainly based on light. When he struck out with his sword, it was as if light had descended and holy light shone. Light and darkness were opposites. They could not mix and restrained each other. In the black demon abyss, the dark aura was rich and the dark power was strong. The natural environment would greatly suppress the power of light. But on the other hand, Xia Jinkong's power of light would cause more damage to the black demon race. The black demon race was the darlings of darkness. They naturally disliked the light and hated the power of light. Under the attack of the radiant light sword, the black demons were like dry straws being burned by a raging fire, turning into ashes. Just one sword was enough to kill more than a dozen high-level black demons. It was enough to show how powerful Xia Jinkong was. Of course, this was the black demon abyss and was suppressed. If this were the outside world, given Xia Jinkong's strength, it would not be surprising if dozens of the black demon race were annihilated with a single sword strike. While Xia Jinkong was attacking with his sword, Chu Mu also turned into a beam of light and shot toward the black demon race. Brother, don't! Xia Jinkong cried out in alarm when he saw this. He quickly flew after Chu Mu as he was afraid that the Black Demon clan would kill him. After all, Chu Mu's cultivation was only at the 5th sky of Nirvana realm, while there were many level 5, level 6, level 7, and even level 8 in the high-level Black Demon clan. There was even a level 9 commander who was more powerful than the human clan's 9th sky of Nirvana realm. It was estimated that Chu Mu would be annihilated in one blow. While complaining about Chu Mu's impulsiveness, Xia Jinkong sped up his pursuit. He did not expect Chu Mu's speed to be so fast. It was unbelievable. Holding the sky-beheading sword and the imperishable sword in each hand, the two swords trembled as if they were flapping wings. Their speed soared as they attacked the Black Demon race. The anger of Xia Jinkong killing more than a dozen of his companions was vented on Chu Mu. A series of tyrannical attacks blasted toward Chu Mu, intending to tear Chu Mu into pieces and turn him into nothingness. However, Chu Mu's figure flashed, and the attacks all missed. A beam of light shuttled through the gaps between the two swords, which were extremely swift and fierce. A slight poochie sound was heard. The swift and fierce sword light carried traces of blood. Wherever it passed, the heads of the high-level Black Demons were chopped off. Chu Mu was like a shooting star, releasing an incomparably bright light as he shot toward the Black Demon race leader. The Black Devil Commander raised its 2 fists. The enormous gloves covered in barbs emitted a deep cold glint. In an instant it threw out 2 punches. The fist force was like a dragon emerging from the sea. It shattered the sky and, with a shocking boom, blasted towards Chu Mu. Chu Mu's speed was extremely fast. His whole body seemed to be rushing toward the fist energy. Just as he was about to be hit, his body twisted strangely in the air, causing the fist energy to almost brush past him. Under the control of Chu Mu, the sky-beheading sword and the imperishable sword attacked the Black Demon race leader with sword intent. At the same time, Su Yueshi also killed her way into the Black Demon race. The black sword was like a black lightning, carrying a swift and fierce aura with it. It was also mysterious. Her body seemed to be dancing, shuttling back and forth, taking the lives of the experts of the Black Demon race. Xia Jinkong was stunned. He thought that his eyes were playing tricks on him and that he was hallucinating. What did he see? A sword cultivator at the 7th sky of Nirvana realm killed the middle-level, high-level, and high-level Black Demons like chopping vegetables. No matter if it was the 6th grade or the 7th grade, none of them could withstand one strike. Even the 8th grade could only withstand a few strikes before dying. However, what shocked him even more was that a sword cultivator at the 5th sky of Nirvana realm had mastered the terrifying 8th grade sword energy. Moreover, her speed was astonishing. In a flash, her 2 swords had slaughtered more than a dozen high-level Black Demons, and she was engaged in a fierce battle with the Black Demon race leader. No, it couldn't be considered a fierce battle because, after only a few exchanges, all of the attacks of the Dark Fiend commander had missed. That sword cultivator that was merely at the 5th level of the Rebirth realm had suppressed the Dark Fiend commander with his indescribably exquisite sword technique. Moreover, he executed an extremely shocking sword strike that broke through the defense of the Dark Fiend commander, pierced through the center of the Dark Fiend commander's forehead, and then chopped off his head with another sword strike. The figure with 2 swords in his hands moved gracefully and gracefully, giving off a mighty and domineering feeling. He slowly descended from a height of a few meters. His posture made him seem like a sword god descending from the heavens. Xia Jinkong was dumbfounded. He stood there in a daze, with his mouth wide open and his eyes straight. His mind was blank. Brother Xia. It was not until Chu Mu came over and called out to him that Xia Jinkong quivered and came back to his senses. He looked at Chu Mu as if he had seen a ghost. Brother, you. Xia Jinkong pointed at Chu Mu, not knowing what to say for a moment. He just kept repeating the word you. After a while, the storm in his heart calmed down. He sighed heavily. I finally know why you can be the master of a sect despite your young age and low cultivation. You can kill high-level black demons like slaughtering chickens and dogs with your fifth sky of Nirvana realm cultivation. Even the black demon race leader, who is several times more powerful than the ninth sky of Nirvana realm, was killed by your sword. No wonder you dared to enter the black demon abyss. Brother Xia, you flatter me. Chu Mu smiled when he saw Xia Jinkong's exaggerated expression and shocked tone. I'm not exaggerating at all, Xia Jinkong said solemnly, and Sister Su is also very powerful. She can kill high-level 8th sky black demons with just a few swords. She's a monster. It's my good fortune to be able to meet two heaven-defying geniuses like you. Brother Xia, we're going to blush if you continue, Chu Mu said with a smile. Su Yueshi nodded gently. Ha, I'll stop. If I continue, I'll suffer a big blow. Xia Jinkong laughed. Let's go find more black demon bastards to kill. Originally, Xia Jinkong was worried about the safety of Chu Mu and Su Yueshi, so he proposed to go with them and protect them with his own strength. His purpose was naturally to repay their kindness. But now he found that Chu Mu and Su Yueshi's strength could not be judged by their cultivation. In particular, Chu Mu could be said to be heaven-defying. That was why he had the idea of killing more black demon race experts. Previously, he was injured because he was attacked by two black demon kings from the black demon race. This was revenge. After knowing Chu Mu's strength, Xia Jinkong, and Chu Mu's topic of conversation was further expanded. Xia Jinkong and Chu Mu talked about swordsmanship, and then found that he was shocked again. As the conversation deepened, Xia Jinkong realized that he, a famous 7-star sword saint in the Firmament territory, could not compare with Chu Mu, a sword practitioner at the 5th sky of Nirvana realm, in terms of swordsmanship. After hundreds of years of hard work, he was still inferior to a junior who was much younger than him. With a strange and complicated mood, Xia Jinkong was partly conversing and partly asking for advice. As for Chu Mu, although Xia Jinkong's realm of swordsmanship had not reached the level of sword in the heart, he had practiced swordsmanship for hundreds of years and had his own unique understanding and attainments in swordsmanship. Although he was still in the realm of human sword unification, he had reached the level of Dishang and had a very profound use of it. Compared with Chu Mu, he was not inferior to him, and even surpassed him. Chu Mu was indeed a heaven-defying genius in sword arts. However, the amount of time he spent on sword arts was ultimately incomparable to sword saints like Xia Jinkong. The difference was at least 5, 6, or even 7 or 8 times. Talent was important, but so was effort. Effort and time were necessary for effort. As the saying went, diligence makes up for stupidity. Moreover, Xia Jinkong's talent in swordsmanship was not bad. On the contrary, he was better than many people. Otherwise, he could not have become a sword saint and mastered level 7 sword energy. When it came to swordsmanship, Chu Mu always had a sincere attitude. He was not arrogant, or humble, but sincere. Su Yueshi listened on the side and occasionally interjected with her own insights on sword skills, which surprised Xia Jinkong a lot. However, when he thought of the fact that Su Yueshi had also stimulated sword power at level 6 in the previous battle, he was speechless. After hundreds of years of hard work, his sword energy was only at level 7. Now he met a man and a woman whose cultivation was much lower than his, but one of them had level 6 sword energy, while the other had level 8 sword energy. Fortunately, his mind was firm and unshakable. Otherwise, he would have been beaten black and blue. Chapter 1374. With a buzzing sound, the silver luster flowed like water ripples and like a gust of wind. An astonishing sharpness filled the surroundings, cutting the dark aura into pieces. Xia Jinkong's eyes were full of surprise, staring at the silver luster on the sword in his hand, and could not help laughing. I've been stuck at the bottleneck of level 7 for 15 years, and didn't know when I would be able to break through. I didn't expect that under your guidance today, I would finally break through the bottleneck and reach level 8 sword force. Xia Jinkong was overjoyed. It was very difficult to increase sword force by 1 level. Xia Jinkong had reached the Eternal Realm more than 200 years ago, and only then did he comprehend sword force. After that, he continued to comprehend and cultivate, and as time passed, he improved his sword force level by level. It was not until 15 years ago that he raised his sword force to level 7. He had been working hard for more than 10 years, but the progress was slow, and he did not know when he would be able to make another breakthrough. Today, when he discussed sword techniques with Chu Mu did not keep it to himself. Xia Zhenkong received a lot of pointers, and many things that he did not understand before were suddenly enlightened. His sword force suddenly broke through the bottleneck and reached level 8. Level 7 sword force increased by 8 times, and level 8 sword force increased by 9 times. The difference of 1 time was a great improvement in strength. Brother, you are really my lucky star. Meeting you not only saved my life, but also helped me make a breakthrough in sword force. Xia Jinkong sighed. He suddenly felt that his previous thoughts and decisions were very correct and wise. I also benefited a lot from talking with Brother Xia, and I believe Su Yueshi is the same, Chu Mu said. If they continued, it would be meaningless to flatter each other, and everyone stopped. After the breakthrough in sword force, Xia Jinkong's strength had increased further, and he was more confident in walking in the black demon pool. When the 3 of them joined forces, their strength was indeed terrifying. If the team led by the black demon commander encountered them, the result would be death. While the black demon race was looking for the human race to kill, they were also being slaughtered by Chu Mu and the other 2. The sharp decline in the number of experts was definitely a huge loss for the black demon race. The spatial rings of the dead black demon clan members naturally became the spoils of war for Chu Mu and the other 2. After killing another group of black devil clan members, they collected the spoils of war. Chu Mu even took the interspatial ring of one of the corpses. Most likely, this person had just been killed by the Black Devil clan when Chu Mu and the others arrived and killed the Black Devil clan members. After obtaining this death human's spatial ring, for some reason, Chu Mu's heart trembled. He had a strange feeling. Good fortune had come to him. He seeped his divine remembrance into the spatial ring to take a look and was instantly stunned. Brother, what's wrong? Xia Jinkong asked hurriedly. Su Yueshi also looked concerned. With a thought, something appeared in Chu Mu's hand. As soon as it appeared, Xia Jinkong and Su Yueshi's eyes widened. A deep blue light spread out in waves. Amidst the dark aura, it was resplendent as if it stood aloof from the world. Deep blue, divine pearl. Xia Jinkong was tongue-tied. It is indeed the deep blue divine pearl. Chu Mu also sighed heavily. There was an indescribable feeling in his heart. Entering the black demon abyss, fighting many battles, and even experiencing life and death. Wasn't it all for a deep blue divine pearl? However, he did not expect to find a deep blue divine pearl in the spatial ring of a dead person. What was this called? He had searched high and low for it, only to find it by chance without any effort? Was it really effortless? Then what about the many battles and life and death experiences? However, to say that it took a lot of effort was not the case. Except for that life and death experience, all the other battles were basically a complete victory. In any case, the deep blue divine pearl was finally in his hands. Looking at it, there were 5 golden formations. It was the 5th divine pearl. However, Chu Mu did not know whether this deep blue divine pearl was the one from the previous auction. Thinking about it, it most likely was. There were a total of 18 deep blue divine pearls. He now had 2, and the powerful and mysterious organization that Xia Jinkong mentioned, the Imperial Court, probably also had a few. Brother, congratulations on obtaining a deep blue divine pearl, but you must hide it well. Don't let others know. Otherwise it will bring endless trouble, Xia Jinkong said solemnly. The imperial court had also sent people into the black demon abyss, but they did not encounter Chu Mu and the others. I know, Chu Mu said. He was not stupid. Did he have to spread the news that he had obtained a deep blue divine pearl? In addition to the 5th divine pearl, Chu Mu also had a 3rd divine pearl, which he did not let Xia Jinkong know about. He put away the 5th divine pearl, seemingly into the space ring, but in fact into a small portable space. Except for Chu Mu, no one else noticed. According to the information I know, the deep blue divine pearl at the auction was the 5th divine pearl, which is the one that you obtained, Xia Jinkong said. Of course. I can't be 100% sure that it's the same one. Whether it is or not, the purpose of this trip to the Black Demon Abyss has been achieved, Chu Mu said. Why don't we leave now? Su Yueshi and Xia Jinkong had no objections. They decided to leave the Black Demon Abyss. It was unknown whether it was too good or bad, but when they were not leaving the Black Demon Abyss, the most powerful person they encountered was the Black Demon Commander. Now that they were leaving the Black Demon Abyss, they encountered one of the 8 kings of the Black Demon race, the Power Demon King. The Power Demon King led a group of subordinates and carried a thick black iron rod on his shoulder. The Power Demon King was almost 3 meters tall and was the strongest and tallest of the 8 demon kings. He had a bald head, a single horn, and bull-like eyes. He looked ferocious, and the armor he wore was special. It did not completely cover his body, and his arms were exposed. His dark skin glowed with a metallic luster, as if he was cast from steel. His muscles bulged, and every movement he made contained a terrifying power. His entire person was like an iron tower. His tyrannical body and terrifying blood and chi fluctuations caused the air around him to be constantly suppressed and dispersed, forming faint ripples. The black iron rod he carried on his shoulder was as thick as a bull. It was dark in color and covered with strange patterns. If one looked at it a few more times, they would feel dizzy. There were bulges on both ends of the black iron rod. If one was hit by it, they would instantly turn into minced meat. The Power Demon King was sitting on a huge black bull, a black demon beast. It was as strong as a small hill, and a group of high-level black demons followed behind it. There were no commanders, and the highest was an 8th grade black demon general, while the lowest was a 6th grade black demon warrior. When the Power Demon King saw Chu Mu, his bull eyes widened and his eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Anger rose from his strong body like flames and burned fiercely. Damned human, die! There was a thunderous roar that shattered the sky. The Power Demon King suddenly exerted his strength and jumped up from the back of the giant bull. He held the black iron rod with both hands and smashed it down. Above Chu Mu, the black iron rod was low and oppressive. A terrifying aura poured down, as though the sky was collapsing and it was about to smash him into pieces. He was indeed one of the 8 demon kings of the Black Demon tribe. He had such a terrifying aura the moment he attacked. Even though Chu Mu could see the trajectory of the attack with his mind sword, the black iron rod that came down carried a terrifying aura. It was as though the surrounding air had been sucked dry, and the air under the rod was heavily compressed, making it as hard as steel. It was an obvious suppression on Chu Mu. His body felt as though it was bound and he could not move. Gap. This was the huge gap in absolute power against a black demon commander. Chu Mu could still kill him within 10 strokes. However, against a black demon king, he was restrained. No matter how good one's skills were, it would be difficult to unleash them when the gap in power was too great. The gap between a black demon king and a black demon commander was like the gap between an immemorial realm and a nirvana realm. To kill a black demon commander, a black demon king only needed a light blow. The current Chu Mu was not in the same state as before. He could kill the black demon emperor's doppelganger and fight against the 8 black demon kings alone. Even so, Chu Mu would not sit still and wait for his death when faced with a blow from the Power Demon King. He forcefully increased his power and unleashed it. He slashed with both swords and instantly broke the restraints around him. He retreated rapidly and swung both swords at the same time. Countless sword light was like a storm that rumbled toward the Power Demon King in midair. However, they were all dispersed by the Power Demon King's rod. The gap between them was too great. Su Yueshi attacked with her sword and slashed toward the Power Demon King like a bolt of black lightning. However, there seemed to be a layer of strange force field around the Power Demon King that distorted Su Yueshi's attack. The sword light that landed on his body sounded as though it had hit steel. Su Yueshi was sent flying by the rebound force. Xia Jinkong attacked with his sword. As he slashed with his sword, there was a bright light that tore through the darkness. It carried a brilliant heavenly might as it charged toward the Power Demon King. The Power Demon King's expression changed abruptly. Xia Jinkong was a 7-star sword saint after all. Even though he was suppressed by the power of the Black Demon Abyss and could only unleash power at the 9th heaven of Nirvana realm, his sword power had reached the 8th level. The power of his sword was amplified by the 8th level sword power by 9 times. In addition to his powerful sword skills, his power was still very terrifying. The current Chu Mu was no match for Xia Jinkong if he were to fight against him. As soon as Xia Jinkong attacked with his sword, the pressure on Chu Mu decreased sharply. He stopped retreating and his power surged. His sword was highly controlled and gathered into both swords. The 8th level sword power was fully unleashed as both swords attacked. The other high-level black demons also charged over. Brother Chu, Sister Su, I'll hold the Power Demon King back. You guys take care of the other black demons, Xia Jinkong said telepathically. Okay, Chu Mu replied. He then turned around and joined forces with Su Yueshi to kill the other high-level black demons. Compared to the Power Demon King, these high-level black demons were as weak as tofu under Chu Mu's sword. They died under Chu Mu's sword one after another. Su Yueshi also continued to kill them. This scene made the Power Demon King furious. Chapter 1375. Xia Jinkong displayed an astonishing battle prowess. The radiant sword in his hand was vast and majestic. Nothing could hide from him. All evil and darkness were vaporized by his sword. The power of light had an obvious suppressive effect on the Black Demon Clan. Under level 8 sword force, the power of each sword was 9 times stronger. Although the Power Demon King was tyrannical and had the strength of a saint, he had to be careful when facing Xia Jinkong's sword. Xia Jinkong's sword was very strong, and he could be injured if he wasn't careful. The sword that Xia Jinkong wielded was a sword of a higher level than the Heavenly Saint sword. Its sharpness was much stronger. With the addition of the power of light, its power was astonishing. Even the Power Demon King, who was proud of his strong body, didn't dare to take it head-on. The Power Demon King was tyrannical. His thick black iron staff was shockingly powerful. Xia Jinkong was also very vigilant and didn't dare to be hit. Otherwise, he would at least have his bones broken. Xia Jinkong's goal was to delay the Power Demon King and let Chu Mu and Su Yueshi kill the other Black Demon Clan members. He believed that with Chu Mu and Su Yueshi's strength, it wouldn't be difficult for them to kill the high-level Black Demon Clan members. It was as easy as chopping vegetables. This had been proven before. The high-level Black Demon Clan members were killed one by one. The Power Demon King was enraged when he saw this. His anger erupted like a volcano. The space around him seemed to shatter. With a loud rumble, the ground beneath his feet cracked. Humans, you deserve to die. All of you must die. The Power Demon King roared. His voice was like a thunderclap. A violent force surged out from his body. The black iron staff shone with a shocking black light. Its violent aura was like a surging tide. It was like the Milky Way was flowing backward and shattering the ground. The staff smashed towards Chu Mu and Su Yueshi. A huge black light fell from the sky like a meteor. Amidst the explosion, Chu Mu and Su Yueshi's expressions changed drastically. Their bodies were hit by a terrifying aura. Their bones let out creaking sounds as if they were about to fall apart. Especially Su Yueshi, who did not cultivate her body. Her physique was far from being comparable to Chu Mu's. Facing the terrifying pressure brought by this blow, her blood froze and she was unable to move. Break! His aura condensed and his power exploded. Chu Mu barely managed to slash out with both of his swords. His blood and chi shook, and a muffled thunder rumbled. The gold and silver cross sword light was extremely condensed and dazzling. It pierced through the sky and attacked the huge black meteorite. As soon as the cross sword light came into contact with the black meteorite, it was immediately defeated. The difference in power was simply too great, causing Chu Mu to feel powerless. However, due to the obstruction of the cross sword light, the dark meteor also paused for a moment. Chu Mu seized the opportunity, and Su Yueshi also seized the fleeting opportunity to quickly dodge. The sword in Xia Jinkong's hand trembled. The melodious sword cry was like a piece of heavenly music. It was grand and majestic. Brilliant light erupted. The sword slashed out and turned into a bright ray of light. It tore apart the darkness as if it was opening up a new world. If it had not been suppressed, the sword would have been able to turn the Power Demon King into ashes with just a slight graze. Even so, the Power Demon King's expression changed. The black iron staff shone brightly with black light. He clenched his arms tightly, and the muscles on his arms bulged. Terrifying power condensed and exploded as he slammed his staff toward the light. The 8 great demon kings of the Black Demon Clan, each of them had their own unique abilities. In other words, the 8 great demon kings not only possessed the power of the Black Demon Clan, but they also possessed their own unique abilities. For example, the Earth Demon King was good at assassination. The power that he possessed contained the aura of death. It was a type of death energy. For example, the Power Demon King was good at close combat. He had great strength and his body was shockingly strong. He was good at a type of heavy power that was like a mountain. This kind of power could be called the mountain's power. The unique powers that the 8 great demon kings possessed were limited. Hence, they would not use them in normal battles. This was because every time they used them, a part of them would be consumed. It would not be easy for them to recover. This attack contained the mountain's power. The black iron staff seemed to have turned into an ancient mountain that fell from the sky. As it fell, even the earth would not be able to withstand it. It would shatter into pieces and turn the world upside down. The light was shattered by the staff. The black light streaked across the world and blasted toward Xia Jinkong. Xia Jinkong's face was cold. His eyes shone brightly and were extremely sharp. He stared at the huge and heavy black light and dodged it at the critical moment. With a loud boom, the earth beneath his feet shattered. Pieces of soil were shattered and turned over. It was as if the earth's crust had collided. As the windstorm blew, Xia Jinkong leaped up. He shook his radiant sword and straightened it instantly. Its sharpness was shocking. He became one with his sword and turned into a ray of light that could split the sky and earth. He then charged toward the Power Demon King. The Power Demon King held the black iron staff with both hands and started to swing it wildly. It was like a propeller. Shocking whistling sounds could be heard. The black windstorm raged and destroyed everything in its path. Strands of terrifying mountain's power fused into it, causing every rotating windstorm to possess unparalleled power. It could easily destroy a mountain. The mountain's power that the Power Demon King possessed was like the sword's power that a sword cultivator possessed. With Xia Jinkong as the main force, he fought the Power Demon King head-on while Chu Mu and Su Yueshi attacked from the side. An expert like the Power Demon King had his own unique way of using power. To be able to fight with such an expert and have an intense battle, regardless of the outcome, was a huge gain. Chu Mu displayed his swordsmanship to his heart's content and displayed his abilities. Everything was done with the premise of killing the Power Demon King. With Xia Jinkong fighting the Power Demon King head-on, it was extremely convenient for him. Although Su Yueshi was not as powerful as Chu Mu, she was not weak either. With Xia Jinkong as the main force and Chu Mu as the support, she could also display her swordsmanship to her heart's content and display her abilities. The Power Demon King had suddenly become a whetstone for Chu Mu and Su Yueshi to sharpen their swords. Despite being besieged by the three of them, the Power Demon King still displayed terrifying abilities. He was like a reef that stood in the middle of a stormy sea. No matter how strong the storm was, he would not budge. The three swords were blocked by the Power Demon King's black iron rod. Every time the Power Demon King counterattacked, it was extremely powerful. Chu Mu and the others had to be cautious and give it their all. In one collision, Chu Mu's entire body flew backwards. The incomparably enormous suppressive force almost shattered the bones in his arms. The two swords in his hands trembled incessantly, and a mouthful of blood surged in his chest. He would not feel good if he did not vomit. After spitting out the blood, he felt much better. Powerful vitality was released once again, and his injuries were quickly healed. His arms felt cool, and his aching bones were quickly healed. Chu Mu stomped his feet, and his power exploded as he charged towards the Power Demon King again. The two swords vibrated at a high frequency and contained a terrifying earthquake force. His level 8 sword force was not held back at all. Every slash, stab, and slash was filled with the essence of the sword technique. In the fight against the Power Devil King, Chu Mu dodged again and again, clashed again and again. Although he was always at a disadvantage, Chu Mu was like a sponge that constantly absorbed battle experience, constantly comprehended and constantly merged. The deeper his understanding of the 5 spirit sword saints' sword technique, the deeper his understanding of eternal sword technique became. His sword technique realm was strengthened and improved. Chu Mu tested the usage of power, the timing of the sword, the angle of the sword, the trajectory of the sword, the variations of the sword, and so on. It was rare for the Power Demon King to be such a good whetstone for his swords. He could not let him go. Xia Jinkong also noticed this and naturally cooperated with Chu Mu and Su Yueshi. With his current strength, it would be very difficult for him to defeat or even kill the Power Demon King. After all, his strength was greatly restricted and could not be compared to the Power Demon King. However, it would not be difficult for him to stall the Power Demon King. The reason why he was injured previously was because he was ambushed by the Earth Demon King during the battle with the Battle Demon King. The Power Demon King swore that this was the most frustrating battle he had ever fought. He worshipped the Tao of Strength. He worshipped using great power to crush his opponents and everything. That kind of exhilaration allowed him to fully unleash his strength and reach the pinnacle. But now he was being held back by Xia Jinkong and could not unleash his full strength. He was also being besieged by 2 small fishes. This kind of feeling was unpleasant, extremely unpleasant. The Power Demon King was in an extremely unpleasant mood. Chu Mu seized this fleeting opportunity and slashed his swords at the Power Demon King's body. The sound of metal clashing rang out and sparks flew. Chu Mu's sharp swords did not manage to injure the Power Demon King. They only managed to break his armor and injure his skin. Feeling the shockwave pass through his 2 swords and instantly spread to his palms and arms, Chu Mu hastily shook his arms to disperse the shockwave. He took the opportunity to retreat, barely dodging the Power Devil King's punch. The black iron staff smashed down and Chu Mu hurriedly dodged. An astonishing wind whistled past his eyes, and he almost could not open his eyes. Xia Jinkong's sword turned into a bright sun that illuminated the sky. It fell from the sky like a scorching sun setting in the west. There was a trace of bitterness and a trace of ruthlessness. The light illuminated the Power Demon King's sturdy body and allowed others to see the disgust on his face. Break! With a loud roar, the black iron staff released an unparalleled black light. It was as if a black sun had risen and collided with the bright sun. There was an ear-piercing rumble, and the world was turned upside down. Everything in the surroundings was shattered. The violent energy was like a world-ending storm. Chu-Mu and Su-Yueshi hurriedly retreated. They waved their swords, and the sword light spread out and formed a sturdy wall. However, it was shattered by the storm. Everything in the surroundings seemed to have been destroyed. Everything within a radius of a few thousand meters was shattered, and the ground collapsed. The Power Demon King was at the center of the collapse. Xia Jinkong was also pushed back a few thousand meters. His sword-wielding hand was trembling slightly. "Damned humans, I will not let you go." The Power Demon King had a ferocious expression. His huge eyes were ferocious and frightening. After glancing at Chu-Mu and the other two, he rode his mount and left. Chu-Mu and the other two did not try to stop him. They knew that the three of them together could not do anything to the Power Demon King. If they continued to fight and attracted other Demon Kings, they would be in danger. Chapter 1376. At the entrance of the Black Demon Abyss. Many humans rushed out of the Black Demon Abyss. They were bathed in blood, emitting a murderous aura. Their eyes were red, and the swords in their hands were stained with blood. They looked like they had just rushed out of hell. Damn the Black Demon race. I don't know what has gotten into them. They actually went out on a killing spree. Senior brother, one day when I have enough strength, I will slaughter the Black Demon race and avenge you. When Chu-Mu, Su-Yueshi, and Xia Jinkong left the Black Demon Abyss, they heard all kinds of curses and cries, all of which were directed at the Black Demon race. Only Chu-Mu and Su-Yueshi understood why the Black Demon race would go crazy and go on a killing spree. It could be said that many people who died under the Black Demon race's massacre were indirectly related to Chu-Mu and Su-Yueshi. However, they would not take this matter on themselves, nor would they feel guilty. Being killed was due to bad luck and lack of strength. It had nothing to do with Chu-Mu and Su-Yueshi. Xia Jinkong also ignored it. Having lived for hundreds of years, he had seen many deaths. It was not the first time he had experienced such a dangerous place like the Black Demon Abyss, and had long been indifferent to it. With a wave of his hand, a very smooth and white airship appeared. The airship's appearance was very exquisite, like a giant sword that had been carefully carved by a master. It was exquisite and gave people a feeling of grandeur. Chu-Mu and Su-Yueshi's eyes were immediately attracted. In particular, Su-Yueshi's eyes lit up. What a beautiful airship! It would be great if it was mine. As soon as the airship appeared, there was a burst of exclamations all around. "Brother, sister, come to my place," Xia Jinkong invited. The airship was much larger than Chu-Mu's giant sword. Judging from its size, it should be a medium-sized airship, but it was unknown what level it was. In short, just by looking at the appearance of the airship, one could tell that the airship's value was extraordinary. It was unknown how many times more valuable it was than the giant sword. Hearing Xia Jinkong's invitation, Su-Yueshi looked at Chu-Mu, waiting for Chu-Mu's decision. Xia Jinkong also looked at Chu-Mu, waiting for Chu-Mu's answer. Sure. Chu-Mu did not hesitate. He had already achieved his goal. The 5th deep blue god pearl was in his hands, and he didn't know where to find the other deep blue god pearls. Xia Jinkong was a guest elder of the True Sword sect, so going to Xia Jinkong's place was a good choice. The three of them entered the honorable marshals, roar one after the other. The flying ship rose into the air, releasing a thick stream of air that was like a bright light. The powerful force pushed the void, causing the honorable marshal's roar to transform into a stream of light and quickly fly forward. That flying ship is indeed very beautiful. That's not what I'm talking about. That flying ship reminded me of someone. Who is it? Radiant Sword, Saint Xia Jinkong. The white flying ship was extremely fast, allowing Chu-Mu to know that it was a high-grade flying ship that was equipped with weapons and had a terrifying attack power. In the blue sky, Other than the honorable marshal's roar that had transformed into a streak of light, there were other flying ships. For example, in front of them there was a thick purple lightning bolt that broke through the sky. It was not a real lightning bolt, but a purple flying ship that was flickering with purple lightning. It had a tyrannical appearance and was extremely fast, like a bolt of lightning. The thunderbolt ship and the honorable marshal's roar flew past each other with a distance of a few thousand meters between them. The air currents that were stirred up collided with each other, releasing a papa sound that was astonishing. On the thunderbolt ship, a person let out a cry of surprise. The moment they brushed past the honorable marshal's roar, he felt a familiar energy ripple. Purple lightning mark? Why would there be the ripple of the purple lightning mark? Could it be my imagination? The young man furrowed his brows as he pondered. He was certain that the ripple from before was indeed the ripple from the purple lightning mark. However, he did not dare to believe it. If it was really the ripple from the purple lightning mark, it meant that someone close to him had been killed, and the murder was on that flying ship. If he was not wrong, the flying ship was the famous honorable marshal's roar, and its owner was the radiant sword Saint Xiaojinkong. Xiaojinkong was not an ordinary person, and had to be treated with caution. He decided to quickly return to the Purple Thunder Palace and report the matter to his father, the Purple Thunder Palace Master. The honorable marshal's roar was extremely fast, much faster than ordinary high-grade flying ships. After all, it was Xiaojinkong's personal flying ship and had its own uniqueness. The interior of the honorable marshal's roar was not small, and it was more than enough to accommodate the three of them. Xiaojinkong even took out wine and food to entertain Chu Mu and Su Yueshi. The three of them sat in the honorable marshal's roar, enjoying the wine and food while chatting. Xiaojinkong briefly introduced himself to Chu Mu and Su Yueshi. Even if he acknowledged Chu Mu and Su Yueshi from the bottom of his heart, Xiaojinkong could not reveal everything about himself. He simply explained that he had a fortuitous encounter many years ago, and that he had embarked on the path of cultivation until today. Although Xiaojinkong did not belong to any sect, after becoming a sword saint, he occupied a mountain full of heaven and earth origin chi, and named it the Great Honorable Mountain, which became his cultivation and residence. In the firmament territory, the Honorable Martial Saint was a living signboard. He was famous for his fighting prowess, and he was definitely not an expert to be trifled with. In fact, there was once a martial saint expert who had taken a liking to the Great Honorable Mountain and wanted to seize it by force because his cultivation was one level higher than Xiaojinkong's. In the end, he was killed by Xiaojinkong's sword. Since then, Xiaojinkong's fame had spread far and wide. The Great Honorable Mountain was considered the only place in the firmament territory that was not considered a force, but was feared by many forces because of Xiaojinkong's tyrannical strength. After a few days, the Honorable Marshal's roar approached a mountain that was more than 3,000 meters high. Among the many mountains in the firmament territory, it was considered ordinary. However, the Great Honorable Mountain was not ordinary in the firmament territory because it was the peak of the Honorable Martial Saint. The Honorable Marshal's roar flew directly into the Great Honorable Mountain and toward the peak. There was a palace at the peak of the mountain. It was not big, but it was milky white and seemed to emit a faint halo. The whole building was simple and to the point, giving off a grand and imposing feeling which was very compatible with Xiaojinkong's swordsmanship. This palace was called the Great Honorable Marshal's Palace, and it was where Xiaojinkong lived and cultivated. After getting off the Honorable Marshal's roar, before entering the Great Honorable Marshal's roar, two people quickly walked out of the palace and stood 10 meters in front of Xiaojinkong, bowing to him in unison. "Master, you're back." As they spoke, their eyes suddenly fell on Su Yueshi's face. They were stunned and could not move their eyes away, as if they were pieces of iron attracted by a magnet. "Ahem, I'm back." Xiaojinkong coughed to wake them up and replied, "Lu Hui, Su Zhan, come and greet Martial Uncle Chu and Martial Aunt Su." Xiaojinkong's second sentence made the expressions of his two disciples, Lu Hui and Su Zhan change abruptly. Chu Mu and Su Yueshi's expressions also changed, and they did not know whether to laugh or cry. In the eyes of Lu Hui and Su Zhan, Chu Mu and Su Yueshi, one was at the 5th sky of Nirvana realm, while the other was at the 7th sky of Nirvana realm. They did not look very old and were probably younger than the two of them. It was almost impossible for them to call them martial uncle and martial aunt. However, when they could not help but look at Su Yueshi again, their gazes were attracted again. Xia Jinkong saw the changes in the expressions of his two disciples, and a hint of displeasure flashed across his eyes. He said in a low voice, "What's wrong? You don't even listen to your master's words?" Lu Hui and Su Zhan's expressions changed drastically and they panicked. "Big brother Xia, we're not your disciples. We're not your martial brothers." Chu Mu said with a smile, "Both of you are big brother Xia's disciples. You're indeed extraordinary. My name is Chu Mu. You can call me Chu Mu." "Brother Chu, my name is Lu Hui. Nice to meet you." "Brother Chu, my name is Su Zhan." Compared to Lu Hui, Su Zhan was less talkative. Xia Jinkong looked at his two disciples. After hearing Chu Mu's words, he immediately spoke. He lightly shook his head and didn't say anything else. Although he was Lu Hui and Su Zhan's master and would think for them, if the two of them didn't cooperate, he couldn't force them. Especially when Chu Mu looked young and his cultivation was not high. He was also not a member of Great Light Mountain and did not have a martial brother relationship with Xia Jinkong, so he could not force Xia Jinkong to do so. Putting himself in Chu Mu's shoes, if he had not personally witnessed Chu Mu's strength, Xia Jinkong's first reaction would be to treat a 5th-layer Nirvana cultivator as an equal. "It's a pity that we missed an opportunity," Xia Jinkong said to himself as he glanced at Lu Hui and Su Zhan. If Lu Hui and Su Zhan had addressed Chu Mu as martial uncle before he spoke, it would have been natural for them to ask for advice from him. With Chu Mu's attainment in swordsmanship, it would have been easy for him to guide Lu Hui and Su Zhan. It was very likely that their swordsmanship would have improved by leaps and bounds. Just like himself, he had directly broken through the bottleneck of the 7th level of swordsmanship and reached the 8th level. Furthermore, Xia Jinkong felt that the bottleneck from the 8th level of swordsmanship to the 9th level of swordsmanship did not exist. When the time was right, he would naturally be able to break through to the 9th level of swordsmanship. Opportunities belong to oneself, just like time. If you missed it, you missed it. Since things had turned out this way, he did not say anything more. "Brother Chu, Sister Su, let's go. I'll take you to see the light sword steel," Xia Jinkong said. Lu Hui and Su Zhan trembled when they heard this. They thought that they were hallucinating. The light sword steel was the foundation of the Great Radiance Mountain. It was extremely important. Other than Xia Jinkong and his 3 disciples, no one else had ever seen the light sword steel. What was going on now? Why did their master bring 2 outsiders and even want to take them to see the light sword steel? Lu Hui and Su Zhan felt that they could not react in time. They immediately wondered if their master had been bewitched by the 2 of them and was different from usual. Anxious, they hurriedly chased after them. Chapter 1377. Master, the light sword steel is the foundation of our lineage. Lu Hui and Su Zhan hurriedly caught up. "Do I need you to teach me that?" Xia Jinkong was a little angry. He had given his 2 disciples an opportunity, but they did not grasp it, and now they were trying to stop him. Xia Jinkong knew that they had good intentions, but he could not say how powerful Chu Mu was. Even if he did, they would not believe it unless they saw it with their own eyes. Chu Mu and Su Yueshi did not say anything. On the Honorable Marshal's roar, Xia Jinkong had already told them to comprehend the light sword steel. Chu Mu and Su Yueshi were naturally willing, especially Chu Mu. He wanted to experience the various sword principles and create his own sword principles. Seeing that Xia Jinkong was really angry, Lu Hui and Su Zhan shrunk their necks, but they were still stubborn. They were indeed thinking for the great light mountain lineage and did not have any selfish motives. Staring at Lu Hui and Su Zhan for a few breaths made them break out in cold sweat. The pressure was too great. All right, I'm still very clear-headed. Both of you can leave and adjust yourselves. I'll check your cultivation progress later. Xia Jinkong waved his hand and said in an unquestionable tone. Lu Hui and Su Zhan could only leave. Brother, sister, please excuse us, Xia Jinkong said helplessly. It's good to have responsible disciples like this. Chu Mu smiled. The light sword steel was Xia Jinkong's fortuitous encounter many years ago. It was also the capital for his rise. Now, it was the foundation of the great light mountain lineage that he had created. It could be said that the light sword steel was very important to the great light mountain lineage. Xia Jinkong would never let outsiders see it, let alone comprehend it. However, it was different now. After witnessing Chu Mu's sword skills and strength with his own eyes and experiencing the sword principles with Chu Mu, his own sword energy had broken through the shackles and increased to level 8. Moreover, it could continue to increase to level 9. This was a huge improvement. Xia Jinkong had already recognized Chu Mu's amazing talent and potential. He wanted to befriend Chu Mu from the bottom of his heart. Therefore, he was willing to open the light sword steel for Chu Mu to comprehend. Su Yueshi was just a bonus. He felt that he might reap greater rewards in the future for his efforts. The place where the light sword steel was placed was located at the center of the Great Light Mountain. There was a secret passage that was heavily sealed and extremely dangerous. If one did not know how to open it, even a 9-star martial saint would find it difficult to enter. Under Xia Jinkong's lead, Chu Mu and the other two entered the secret tunnel. After walking for a short distance, they jumped down. It fell about 1,000 meters and landed on a circular platform. It was about 100 meters in radius, and in the center was a milky white stone tablet. It looked like a sword, and it was stuck on the platform with the tip of the sword pointing to the sky. The moment they saw the milky white sword steel, Chu Mu and Su Yueshi were stunned. They could only feel a majestic aura permeating the air. It was solemn and dignified. Facing it, one could not think of anything else. It was as if all distracting thoughts had been purified, leaving only light. Brother, sister, stay here and meditate. I'll go out for a while. Xia Jinkong smiled. I hope it'll be of some help to you. Thank you, Brother Xia. Chu Mu and Su Yueshi said almost in unison. Xia Jinkong smiled and soared into the sky, leaving Chu Mu and Su Yueshi behind. Meditate. It's a rare opportunity. Chu Mu said. The two each chose a place to sit down. All distracting thoughts dissipated and their minds were highly concentrated. It was easy to do this in front of the light sword steel under such an aura. The light sword steel was milky white and emitted a faint luster as if it was covered by a halo. Through the halo, some lines on the sword steel could be seen. The lines were densely packed from top to bottom. They crisscrossed and displayed endless mysteries. The highly concentrated minds allowed Chu Mu and Su Yueshi to stare at the light sword steel. Their eyes gradually lit up and reflected the figure of the light sword steel in their pupils. It slowly became clear as if it was a brand. Under the reflection, the lines on the light sword steel appeared one by one. Soon, the two entered into a meditative state. In terms of comprehension, Chu Mu was naturally the best. However, Su Yueshi was also a monster, and her comprehension wasn't low either. This level of comprehension wasn't too difficult for them, so they couldn't see the difference in level. They could only continue to comprehend. Only in the end would they be able to see the difference in level due to the difference in comprehension. Those with high comprehension would naturally comprehend more profound, more extensive, or more proficient things. Those with low comprehension would comprehend more shallow, narrow, and rough things. There was no doubt that Chu Mu was the kind of person with high comprehension. The word high was not enough to describe it. The light sword steel in front of them was constantly magnified under their gaze. It filled their eyes and filled the whole world. The lines on the light sword steel became thicker and twisted as if they were alive. They were like true dragons, soaring in the sky and controlling the four seas. Immediately after, the veined dragons seemed to have turned into swords of light that slashed towards Yi Fuqian. Chu Mu felt that the world around him had disappeared. It was as if he had been forgotten, abandoned, and independent by the world. It was as if he had entered a world that belonged to the light. In this world, there was only light and nothing else. There was an endless, vast light. Streams of light aura entered the sword. The imposing manner was solemn and majestic, as unpredictable as the ocean, as high as the sky. Chu Mu was soon immersed in it and could not extricate himself. Su Yueshi also gradually entered the state and had her own comprehension. Her situation was different from Chu Mu's. Su Yueshi was a descendant of the heavenly demon lineage. She was proficient in the power of darkness and had awakened the saint body of darkness in the black demon abyss. She had a deeper understanding and attainment in the way of darkness. Darkness and light had been opposing existences since ancient times. Just like water and fire could not mix, light and darkness could not coexist. The power of the 5 elements had mutual promotion and restraint, but the power of darkness and the power of light did not exist. It could only be said that they restrained each other. Light restrained darkness, and darkness restrained light. Light and darkness were 2 powerful forces of the same level. They were much more powerful than the power of the 5 elements. Su Yueshi, who was proficient in the power of darkness and had awakened the saint body of darkness, was immediately restrained when she tried to comprehend the light sword steel. This was not to say that the power of light was stronger than the power of darkness, but because the power of light contained in the light sword steel was purer and more majestic than the power of darkness that Su Yueshi had mastered. In an instant, Su Yueshi had a feeling of being purified by the power of light. It was as if her whole person, from her body to her internal organs to her soul, was being melted, destroyed, and turned into nothingness under the vast and majestic power of light. This was the suppression of Su Yueshi's power of darkness by the power of the light sword steel. If Su Yueshi withdrew from her comprehension, she would be fine, but she stubbornly did not intend to do so. Instead, she endured and continued to comprehend. Light and darkness were opposites, but there were similarities between the two. If she could find out and comprehend them, it might be helpful for her to master the power of darkness. When she was with Chu Mu, Su Yueshi's brilliance was covered. In essence, she was a genius, a monster that surprised many people. She had a complete inheritance, a complete knowledge system, her own cognition, her own ideas, and so on. She also had her own judgment. She would not retreat because of this. Su Yueshi's face was pale, her body trembled, as if she was about to melt under the power of the light sword steel, but she stubbornly persisted. Chu Mu's body was as steady as Mount Tai, his expression calm. A divine light gradually emerged on his face, clear and white, and a faint halo spread out, as if it was being emitted from his body. His whole person seemed to have become a weak light source, gradually becoming stronger. Chu Mu's pupils became milky white, and there seemed to be traces of sword light spreading out like thin threads. His mind was operating at the highest speed that it could reach. Comprehension, to be more specific, was the ability to observe, memory, comprehension, and other aspects that were closely related to the mind. Drawing inferences from one was also one of them. Every ray of light in Chu Mu's eyes had become a sword. Every trajectory was like the trajectory of a sword. Gradually, as Chu Mu's mind spun at high speeds, he continuously cleared up his thoughts. Various kinds of comprehension continuously emerged. With the sword in the heart realm of swordsmanship, the experience of the 5 spirits, sword saints, swordsmanship, and the cultivation of the eternal sword momentum, his control of the sword was constantly improving. In addition to his amazing perception, it was normal for him to comprehend something. The light sword steel was very mysterious. It contained the way of light, the way of the sword, and was not just a single point. Different people comprehended the light sword steel, and the final harvest was not necessarily the same. Xia Jinkong was the first person to come into contact with the light sword steel, and was also the first person to benefit from it. He comprehended the light sword way, and his disciple naturally cultivated Xia Jinkong's light sword way. In fact, until now, Lu Hui and Su Zhan had not comprehended the light sword steel, because Xia Jinkong felt that they were not qualified to do so. Lu Hui and Su Zhan's cultivation were the same at the fifth sky of Nirvana realm. Xia Jinkong meant that when the two of them reached the seventh sky of Nirvana realm, their souls would undergo a change after Nirvana realm, and they would be able to comprehend the light sword steel. After all, the first time comprehending the light sword steel was usually the best, and the subsequent effects would be far inferior to the first time. Su Yueshi was at the seventh sky of Nirvana realm, and although Chu Mu was at the fifth sky of Nirvana realm, the feeling he gave Xia Jinkong was completely different. A peerless monster who could easily kill a ninth sky of Nirvana realm could not be looked at with ordinary eyes. After continuous comprehension, a complete set of sword techniques appeared in Chu Mu's mind. Immediately, Chu Mu also knew the name of this set of sword techniques. Great Light Sword Technique. Great Light Sword Technique. This was a set of pure sword techniques, and it was also the most suitable for Chu Mu to comprehend. Chapter 1378. In the firmament territory, above a mountain range that stretched for tens of thousands of miles, there were wisps of purple clouds. Upon closer inspection, one would realize that it was actually the power of thunder that permeated the air. The power of thunder was so strong that the sky above the mountain range was completely different from the blue sky of other places. The Thunder Mountain Range was an extremely famous mountain range in the firmament territory. It was famous for its high height and wide width. It was also famous for its rich power of thunder. It was also because there was a powerful force in the mountain range. The Purple Thunder Palace. In the firmament territory, the firmament Holy Land was the most powerful force. The Purple Thunder Palace was one of the three first-rate forces that was inferior to the firmament Holy Land. It had many martial saints and was proficient in the way of thunder and lightning. Father, on the way back, I felt the fluctuation of the purple thunder mark, a young man with long hair said. Purple thunder mark. A tall, middle-aged man with his hands behind his back looked at the mountain range in shock. Are you sure? I'm not 100% sure, the young man said. The tall, middle-aged man was the Purple Thunder Palace master. He closed his eyes, and his long robe fluttered in the absence of wind, emitting waves of pressure. After a while, he opened his eyes. There were two residual purple thunder arcs in his eyes that dissipated. Your younger brother was killed. The purple thunder imprint that you felt was on your younger brother's body, said the Purple Thunder Palace master. His voice was low, but it gave off a pressure that sounded like thunder descending into the world. Who dares to kill my brother? The long-haired young man was stunned. Obviously, the murderer is on the flying ship you mentioned, the Purple Thunder Palace master said. He did not sound angry, as if it was not his son who had died, but in fact his heart was filled with killing intent. Father, that flying ship is the Honorable Marshal's roar. Although the young man was angry, he did not lose his mind. The Honorable Marshal's roar. Light Sword Saint Xia Jinkong. The Purple Thunder Palace master's tone was serious, revealing a hint of fear. So what if it's Xia Jinkong? He has to pay the price for killing my son. At the Great Light Mountain, Lu Hui and Su Zhan met Ning Zichen, who had just returned. Senior brother, you're back. Lu Hui and Su Zhan said happily. Yes, I'm back. Is Master back? Ning Zichen, gently nodded his head. His tone was indifferent. His indifferent expression, indifferent tone, and indifferent gaze gave people a sense of tranquility. Master has already returned, but... Lu Hui paused. Ning Zichen glanced at Lu Hui. Eldest senior brother. When Master returned this time, he even brought 2 people with him, Su Zhan continued. He must be Master's friend. Ning Zichen smiled. I think so. Lu Hui and Su Zhan's expressions were a little strange. They didn't know how to describe it. After thinking about it, they still told the story without adding any details. You said that Master brought back a man and a woman. One of them is at the 7th level of Nirvana realm, while the other is only at the 5th level of Nirvana realm. Yet Master asked you to call them martial uncle and martial aunt? Ning Zichen's brows furrowed slightly. Even with his extraordinary intelligence, he could not figure out what was going on. Master even opened up the most precious, radiant sword steel for them to study? For a moment, Ning Zichen's interest was piqued. At this moment, Xia Jinkong also appeared. Master. The 3 of them hastily bowed. However, Ning Zichen's reaction was rather calm. Perhaps this was his temperament. His reaction to everything in the outside world was very calm. He had a kind of indifference to both favor and disgrace. This was something that Xia Jinkong quite admired. Zichen, how was the training this time? Xia Jinkong nodded and asked. The harvest was not bad, Ning Zichen replied. Just like that, he chatted with Xia Jinkong. Although he had some questions in his heart, he did not immediately ask them. Inside the great radiant mountain, on a platform with a radius of 100 meters, 2 figures sat cross-legged in front of the radiant sword steel that soared into the sky. For some reason, the light on the radiant sword steel was stronger than before. The many mysterious patterns on it also seemed to have come alive and were swimming about. After a period of resistance, Su Yueshi gradually found a way. She also gradually comprehended something and slowly immersed herself in it. She was comprehending the darkness from the light. This was what she was currently comprehending. A complete set of the great radiant sword technique appeared in Chu Mu's mind. This was brought about by his strong comprehension ability and superb thinking. The information obtained from the radiant sword steel was very messy and had to be sorted out by himself to form a complete set. The speed and efficiency of sorting were directly related to one's thinking. Wisps of white light, which carried a pure, solemn, and sacred fluctuation, gradually condensed outside his body and transformed into a human figure formed by white light. When he stretched out his hand, the white light extended and condensed into a long sword. The figure formed by the white light began to move in mid-air, brandishing his sword and thrusting it forward. The great radiant sword technique. This was a very high-quality sword technique. It was a sword technique that had reached the high tier of the heaven level. Every strike was able to stimulate the sword chi of the great radiant sword. Its sharpness was not obvious, but it was vast and majestic, solemn and sacred, and its power was endless. In reality, even if the great light sword technique reached the top tier of the heaven rank, it wouldn't increase Chu Mu's strength by much. Firstly, Chu Mu didn't control the power of light. If he wanted to comprehend it, this was a good environment, and he could quickly comprehend the power of light. However, if he wanted to raise it to the level of rule, he would need some time. After reaching the level of rule, he would need to spend even more time to refine it. Chu Mu already felt that he did not have enough time to cultivate now. It was impossible for him to divide his time. After all, a person's energy and time were limited. If he continued to divide his limited energy and time, it would eventually lead to him knowing a lot and dabbling in a lot of things, but not being proficient in any of them and not being able to truly master any of them. Chu Mu felt that he had already cultivated enough. He did not even have time to take care of the power of clouds and the power of ice. If it were not for the fact that forcefully dispersing these 2 powers would cause serious damage to his spiritual world, he would have directly dispelled these 2 powers. Secondly, after breaking through to the sword in the heart realm and cultivating the eternal sword force, Chumu gradually felt that these so-called sword techniques did not seem to be compatible with him. Or rather, these sword techniques seemed a little strange, as if they were incomplete or impractical. He himself could not be sure whether this feeling was real or fake. After all, the sword techniques displayed by others were still very powerful. However, as he cultivated and improved his swordsmanship, the feeling of being incompatible with the other's swordsmanships became more and more obvious. Even though he could still unleash the power of every swordsmanship that he had cultivated to the extreme, he always felt that it was not smooth. Therefore, the only use that the divine light sword technique gave to Chumu was to expand Chumu's knowledge of sword techniques. This allowed him to contribute to the creation of the perfect sword technique that was most suitable for him in the future. Chumu's consciousness was completely immersed in the cultivation of the divine light sword technique. From it, he experienced the majestic, and sacred aura that belonged to light. He also experienced the restrained sharpness that it contained. Time slowly passed. The white figure next to him had already finished cultivating the divine light sword technique once. He did not stop and immediately cultivated it a second time. He cultivated it over and over again. It was indeed a heaven-level advanced sword technique. It was extremely profound. Even with Chumu's level of comprehension, it was not an easy task to completely comprehend it. Furthermore, if he did not completely comprehend the sword technique that he had obtained, it would not be of much use to him. As he cultivated, the white figure stopped after the 10th time. Chumu suddenly had a feeling that something was on the verge of coming out. It was a kind of inspiration, a new kind of comprehension. He subconsciously opened his eyes and looked at Tsuyoshi beside him. Unlike the white light that was emitted from his body, Tsuyoshi's body was emitting a black light. Furthermore, it was an extremely pure black light that did not contain any impurities. It formed an extremely sharp contrast with the pure white light of the light sword steel. It was as if the existence of day and night were opposing each other. In that instant, it was as if a bolt of lightning had struck his spiritual world. Inspiration that was on the verge of coming out gushed out like a spring, pure and unique, regardless of whether it's light or darkness. Chumu muttered to himself in a voice that only he could hear. Only when one's power was extremely pure and did not contain any impurities could it release its strongest power. It did not mean that the more types of power one fused, the more powerful it would be. Chumu seemed to have vaguely grasped something, but it was not clear enough. Light and darkness could be said to be extremely domineering. In light, nothing could be seen except for light. In darkness, nothing could be seen except for darkness. In essence, these two powers were the same. It was just that the way they were displayed was different. All kinds of comprehensions emerged in Chumu's mind and flowed across his mind, causing his understanding of power to deepen and reach the essence. The white light dissipated like smoke blown by the wind. Chumu closed his eyes again. In the outside world, in the blue sky, a purple thunderbolt tore through the sky. It flew toward the great light mountain at an astonishing speed and power. It was a flying ship, a medium-sized flying ship. There were some people in the flying ship, each of whom exuded an astonishing aura fluctuation. They were obviously experts. It's the flying ship of the Purple Thunder Palace. It's going in such a menacing manner. Could it be that some ignorant person has provoked the Purple Thunder Palace? It looks like it. I really don't know who it is. They're so bold to provoke the Purple Thunder Palace. They're simply courting death. Some of the flying ships flying by in the distance were startled at first when they saw the flying ship of the Purple Thunder Palace. Then they began to discuss among themselves. The Purple Thunder Palace was one of the 3 first-rate forces under the Heaven Vault Holy Land in the Firmament Territory. There was no doubt about its strength and domineering nature. The cultivators in the Firmament Territory all knew about it. Therefore, they would not provoke the Purple Thunder Palace at all. Even the cultivators outside the firmament territory had more or less heard about the strength of the Purple Thunder Palace. Unless there was some great benefit, they would not provoke the people of the Purple Thunder Palace.